to the No Practice Podcast, where we cover the only sport in the world where there is no practice. With your mini rod driving host, Adam Kester, Tyler Slaw, and Chase Richardson. Strap in for some debates on the world of pulling, exclusive special guests, and a whole lot of nonsense BS. The No Practice Podcast starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 50 of the No Practice Podcast. Joined, as always, by Mr. Adam Kester and Mr. Chase Richardson. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
Pretty good.
Happy 50th.
Yourself?
Half a century old.
Yeah, how about that? Well, this past weekend, there was a poll in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I don't believe either one of you were there, but obviously the full poll crew was there, catching all of the live stream action as always. And there was a pretty special guest that was there catching the action as well with that crew. And I believe we are fortunate enough to have him join us for a few minutes. So we don't want to keep him waiting. What do you think, gentlemen? Without further ado, shall we?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Kyle Petty. How are we doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing good. Happy birthday, man. So you're 50?
Yeah.
It's our
We have
50th
a birthday
episode.
every 2 weeks, Kyle. So this happens to be our 50th. We started this show with 2 people watching. Now we have 3 because you're on here too. We're progressing. Thanks for joining us on the No Practice Podcast. Real quick, Kyle, why do you think we call this a No Practice Podcast? There's a few natural reasons, but no practice, what comes to your mind about that and tractor pulling?
So listen, two things. I heard the intro there where it's the only sport with no practice. Nobody that I know, and I'm pretty good at it, nobody practices BS better than me. And I never practice when
Awesome.
on that part. So I'm going to say it's somewhere in between those two things. Is why you call it no practice.
That's 100%.
We started it because the sport fundamentally, we like to say it is the only sport, no practice, but we don't do a very good job of practicing anything we're going to talk about. We just kind of go with it. So we won't keep you an hour and a half, Kyle. I hope you got your wife and kids know, but we'll keep it short and sweet for you. But thanks for joining us. You attended the Raleigh, North Carolina State Fair last Friday. Was that your first ever live in-person truck and tractor pull, Kyle?
So this is what I'm going to say, and I'm going to say no, yes and no. I'm going to say yes and no. I grew up in Level Cross, North Carolina, a rural community, and it was at the ball field every year. I was a little bit older. It had to be sometime in the mid to late 70s, maybe. Tractor pulls started coming there, and they would pull at the community center, pull at the baseball field. And all the local farmers would bring their stuff out, and they would pull, but nothing like what I experienced at Raleigh. I mean, that's next level, man. That's like, I can't even describe what it was like when they rolled out and we got to walk around and look at some of the stuff. I've got a good friend, PK, Phil Kelly.
Yeah.
He's out of Pittsburgh, and he pulls, and he used to talk to me about it all the time and tell me all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, man, I hear you, brother. And
I dig you. Yeah.
And I went, man. And
he raced a circle track too, right? Like, I race NASCAR, circle track guy. Yeah, we're comparable. Not.
Yeah, no, but it was like I had no clue the technology, the engineering, what these things look like, what they did. No clue, man. And I'm gonna tell you, this is no joke. I gotta be honest, and we be straight up. So I went because Phil set it up with Lindsay Campbell, and she drives a modified Mini or what?
That's what we all run, modified Minis.
Yeah, man, she had an incredible pull, right off the bat. But I think she finished second. But so we went, and I was just going to say, hey, glad hand everybody, and walk off. I stayed the whole time. Right. I kept sending out for corn on the cob, fried Oreos, anything else kind of food, but I stayed the whole time, man. It was absolutely awesome.
So are you ready to get one yourself now? Is what you're saying, Kyle?
Well, you know what? Here's something I did notice. So you guys will have to educate me here. I had obviously what I used to do before. There were a lot of obstacles in my way that I could hit, and I hit a lot of walls, man. I hit a lot of other cars and a lot of walls. Is that a factor in this? Because I'm going to say, if there are no obstacles in front of me and I can't hit anything, I'm pretty good. I may give this a shot.
Well, what you got to be worried about there, Kyle, is often I'll roll mine over and wreck it. And so I don't hit a wall or an obstacle necessarily.
Yeah.
But when you hit the ground, because you're that high up and you roll the things over and whatnot, the ground becomes a fairly significant obstacle that's pretty hard to move too. So something that sneaks up on you just out of nowhere. It can be pretty tricky sometimes.
Yeah. I hear you. I'm gonna have to think about it then.
It was Raleigh.
Obviously, you're telling me there is something I can hit, and if there's something that I can hit, I will hit it. I mean, I don't know if y'all know my career, but that's basically what I did.
I'm kind of known for that too. It was actually the first tractor pull I went to without my father, and it was ironically at Raleigh, North Carolina. And I was on such a wild pass that it ripped the hitch out of my tractor, and the tractor just launched up in the air because I was mid-pass, and the front end landed into the ground, wadded the whole chassis up. And so you can imagine how thrilled my father was when I came back home, with just a wadded up chassis and all junk. And he's like, I send you to one pull without me, and this is the shit you bring home to me.
Ho, you're talking my language. He sends me to one race, and the crap I brought back, there wasn't much left, man. We are in the same place. I may be a little older, but we're in the same place.
Right.
Very well said.
So I got to ask you, being there, so obviously you got to see all the classes. Mini modified your favorite?
It was, man. Listen, so this is what fascinates me. So, there's in NASCAR, and especially when I raced, there was a rule book. But in between the lines, there was a gray area. So you kind of, you would skirt that gray area. So a way to really try to get around some of the gray area was, we had 600, 700, 850 horsepower by the time I retired, and that was about it. But you had a 3,700 pound car. So the horsepower to weight ratio, the horsepower to the rate ratio in those modified minis is freaking fascinating, man.
Right.
That's, you guys, you might as well just go ahead and sit on the bell housing of a big block and just power down and let her eat, man.
Right.
Because that's what it is. I could not believe the horsepower to weight ratio and how quick, and I'm not talking about fast. I'm talking about how quick they come up off the line and start their pull.
Sure. Well, I have 3 of these things back here, so I run 3 of them myself. Chase has a couple, and Tyler, him and his dad have a couple. So anytime you want to try one,
loaded setup, because you made the comment about sitting on top of the bell housing. Well, Tyler and his dad actually, their legs straddle the engine head. So
we're dumb enough. When you say skirting the gray area, Kyle, there was no rules about how close you could sit to the engine. And myself being a little bit thicker of a gentleman, I want all the weight on the front as much as I can. So I actually moved the seat significantly further forward than what most of them are, and I actually wrap my legs around the engine. So your scrotal region is roughly 2 inches from the bell housing. It's a pretty good time, I must say.
And I'm okay with that. I don't know about you, but I've already had all the kids I'm going to have, so I'm okay with it. You know what I mean?
I haven't, but I'm just flirting with disaster. So if you want to take me up on that, show up to a pole. We'll set you right on the bell housing. You can make a rip in it. And
man. I'm going to tell you, this is no joke. Raleigh was not my last. You don't know where I'm going to show up, and I'll make sure that you guys know. I'll make sure PK knows, and you guys know where I'm going to be, because my kids, they had a blast. They did have a blast, but when I was there with them, I was 10 or 12 years old again. And I got to tell you something. So the fairgrounds, the Raleigh Fairgrounds, and this crazy story, a crazy connection, is the last dirt race that used to be an oval track, and so they pull on the front stretch. They pull on what used to be the front stretch. The last dirt race that NASCAR ran in 1970, my dad won. at that fairgrounds. So he took the checkered flag on that same front stretch that those guys were pulling on. And I sat in the grandstands as a 10-year-old kid watching him do it. So I'm going to tell you that Raleigh's kind of special to me anyhow. So it brought back a lot of memories to be sitting in those grandstands watching the tractors.
That's pretty awesome, man.
Appreciate you sharing that tidbit with us. Kyle, you know, we're not going to take an hour and a half of your time tonight. We're going to milk,
even though we could
in a short amount of time. But a couple of questions. I know all of us we're fans and know who you are, and obviously have grown up at motorsports and NASCAR geeks. But we were talking about this before we came on the air. A little topic that, you know, I think we all might have a little bit in common at different levels. So myself, Adam, and Tyler are all second generation pullers whose dads got us into this, and most notably we were recognized as, you know, our dad's sons. Obviously your dad is an iconic figure, Richard Petty. So what kind of advice would you give to us three? I'd like to say us young guys, but we are a little bit older in age, but what kind of good advice you give to being recognized as that guy's son and trying to find your own way as your own person?
So I will tell you this, and this is and so my grandfather started racing. My grandfather started in 49. And then my dad came along in 58, and then I came along in 79. So that's how long ago I came along. And then my son Adam, who was killed racing in New Hampshire. So there were four generations of us. And if you put us all in a room, and I've said this before, if you put us all in a room in four different places, and you walked around the room and you had a conversation with every one of us, you would say, those guys don't even know each other. There's no way they're related. You know what I mean? There's no way those four guys are related. But I think what I mean by that is that I thought the greatest race car driver in the world when I was growing up was my dad. And you ask my dad who he thought was the greatest, and he'll tell you his dad. And you know, and that's just the way it is, because I looked up to him. I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be like him when I was 5 or 6 years old. That's all I ever wanted to do. And, you know, it's so funny. It's so funny because you get that question a lot. And I tell people all the time, and it's the same for you guys. That's the only dad you have. That's your dad. Right. You didn't choose him. He might not have chose you, but that's the only dad that you're ever going to have. And, you know, I was always proud to be my dad's son. And I think you guys are probably the same way. You know, I mean, you take what you can. But I will tell you this, and I'm sure you guys know this too. Behind closed doors, there can be some intense conversations. You know what I mean? I used to tell people all the time, when my dad got me behind closed doors, he had a finger about that long when he was pointing at me and telling me exactly what I should be doing. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna tell you something, man. It is. I tell that to people all the time. I'm proud to be this man's son, and I don't care if his name was Joe Smith. I would still be proud to be this guy's son, because the things he taught me, not only about racing and about cars, but about life and about everything else. So it's you know, people that sit in the grandstands just see Richard Petty, but he's so much more than that to me. And I'm sure your dads are the same way.
Absolutely.
Yes, well spoken. I think we all got a lot in common. All of our dads have those long fingers.
Oh yeah.
My dad passed away 6 years ago now, and he was pretty much like a Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt icon of the sport. I think, in my mind, I think I was his biggest fan, even though we didn't really get along. But like when I look back on things, like, and it's kind of brings me to my question for you is like, so growing up around the sport your entire life, obviously you were drug around to the races your entire life. Do you have a good travel story of like going up down the road of something that will never leave your mind? Because that's to me, like going to and from the events and the shit that we went through to get places, just a race. I mean, like, do you have one of those stories that stick with you?
So listen, just a race. When I was in high school, back when I was in high school, I played sports in school. So I would play football on Friday night, and my dad would leave one crew guy behind, and we would jump in a car as soon as the ball game was over, about 11:30 at night, and we would drive wherever we were driving. And we would, if we were going to Michigan from where we lived, the speedway was 13 hours from where we lived. So we'd jump in a car at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night and be in Michigan at the racetrack the next day around noon. And we'd work at the racetrack all afternoon, go to the hotel and go to sleep. And then when the race was over with at 4:30, 5 o'clock, we'd jump in a car about 6:30 or 7, drive back to Roundup. And I would take a shower at the race shop and jump back in the same car I was just in and drive to high school and go back to school. And that's just what we did, but that's what everybody did because you wanted to race and you wanted to be around racing. You wanted to go. But I'll tell you this story. So my granddad, he was, I'm just going to say ornery. So we're just going to say ornery. Okay. Right. So we would come back from a race one night down the West Virginia Turnpike, and man, we'd run somewhere up north, and it's cold and rainy and just terrible night, man. Coming down the West Virginia Turnpike at that time, the truck stops and everything were in the middle, and we pulled in, and my granddad looked at myself and 4 or 5 other guys that were in the car with us and in the van. We had a van by then. We'd upgraded, man. You get a van. You get that big maxi van, man, you got to go on.
Living, baby.
So we went in, and he stopped us right when we got to the door, and he said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go in. We're going to eat at the counter, okay? Because they serve you faster at the counter. And we're going to eat, and we're going to get back in the car, and we're going to head down the road because we need to be making time. Because that was always a big deal, man. You got to be
get back to work.
Yeah, got to be going. So we walked in and sat down at the counter. And the waitress reached up into the window there, and she turned around and she said, okay, who got the scrambled eggs and the sausage and the white toast? And my granddad said, right here, I got it. And she said, we hadn't ordered. We hadn't ordered a thing. We hadn't ordered, man. He took somebody else's food.
That's how you make time, baby.
And I'm like, what are we going to do now? And he's like, man, I'm ready. It's time to go. We got to go, man. We just grabbed a drink. We grabbed a drink and a pack of crackers, man. Jumped in the car and headed out. He had bacon and eggs, dude. That's awesome. But you just did. I'm telling you, man, you never went in a restaurant and ate. You always ate. You'd go, somebody would run in. And it was the same way. You stop, somebody's pumping gas, and the other 3 guys are in the restroom. That kind of thing. So it's always. Listen, there's too many stories, man.
That's a good one.
I love it, dude. Thank you for sharing that with us.
That's a good one.
That's fantastic. Well, the question I had is like reading back, in 2003, I see that you guys got busted for some unapproved rear jacking bolts during a pre-race inspection. And that came with some big fines and stuff. And NASCAR's at the point, there's all these rules and regulations to the point where everything is very much uniform. Everything's the same. People want to use the term cookie cutter, whether that's right or wrong. And I feel like the sport of pulling is almost trending in that direction where our rule book just gets a little bit thicker every year, and they're kind of pushing people to almost just buy a chassis from a manufacturer, write the check, don't build things yourselves. Obviously, rules have, good places in motorsports, but what's your opinion on, making those rule books thicker versus leaving it up to the people behind the wheel, working in their own ingenuity?
Yeah. So this is what I think. I think in a lot of ways, I think this is, and what you guys do, tractor pulling is a perfect example. It's just like the early days of stock car racing, where you took a stock vehicle and you turned it into something that it wasn't meant to be. That's not what it was designed for. It's not what the rear ends were designed for. The chassis was you just turned it into something else. And then you go out and you have your ideas, and all 3 of you guys, if I gave you a blank sheet of paper, you would all 3 come up with a variation on the same theme, but it's your own variation. And that was the magic of the early days of the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, 80s, only into the 90s. That was the magic because everybody come up with something a little bit different. Everybody come up with something in that gray area, or they wanted to try something different. And you knew, and every team had their own engine builders. So you had 40 drivers against 40 engine builders, against 40 crew chiefs, against 40 pit crews. And that's the way it was. And as you get into that, where everything becomes uniform and everybody becomes the same, then, and this is just my opinion from being around forever and ever, and from the beginning of time, it feels like, is you don't move the sport forward, you dumb it down, you bring it backwards. Right. Because any swinging ding dong can go buy a chassis and bolt it together and throw some kind of motor in it and say, "Whoo, I'm a driver, I'm a tractor puller, I'm gonna go do this, man. I can do it right with you." And they don't know. They just don't know anything. So when I look at the rules, I wish we had an area or a margin or a place where these guys could be innovative, because when you look at this sport and you look at what Goodyear has done through the years, tire innovation, road car tire innovation came off of a racetrack, and in a lot of ways. Some of the things that they have, some of the safety features were first developed in race cars and in racing that found their way to street cars. And so, I mean, you've kind of stifled that and kind of stopped it. And I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan. And I'm going to say this. I'm not a big fan of parity in any sport.
Right.
Somebody needs to be the bad butt that everybody else is chasing. If there's
Right.
nobody to chase, why are we playing? Just go ahead and do what everybody does now. Everybody you show up, you guys, don't let them give you a rule book. Fight it as long as you can, because here's the thing.
Yes, sir.
You're going to get to that place. You're going to get to that place where you guys are going to show up at Raleigh and everybody gets a participation ribbon and everybody goes home a winner and everybody has a good time. And I take that back. Nobody goes home a winner, because you can't have winners and losers, because that hurts somebody's feelings.
Well, yeah.
And then we got to go to therapy, and then we got to take care of all that crap. So that's
terrible
a issue.
Awesome question, Tyler, and that's a fantastic answer, Kyle.
I love it, Kyle. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
We preach that over here a lot. Thank you.
Preach, brother.
Yeah.
That resonates a lot with a lot of topics we talk about here. People are going to think we paid you to make these comments, but I promise I've never met Kyle in my life until just now. So
No kidding. What
very
an
well
honor.
said and done. Kyle, you've been awesome in your quick little visit with us. I expect you to be back at a tractor pull again, and we're going to take you up on that most definitely. Before we let you go, I know you're involved in a pretty good charity effort yourself, the Kyle Petty Ride Across America. We do have a good audience. Quite a few people watch this. So tell our fans a little bit about what this is and how they can get involved and join.
We started the charity ride, the Kyle Petty Charity Ride. We started it back in '95, and honestly, I tell people all the time, it's just because myself and Harry Gant and a couple of guys that were racing at the time, really, we just wanted to ride motorcycles from California to North Carolina, and everybody said that's a terrible idea, and we said we'll do it for charity, and they're like, that's the greatest idea we've ever heard. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
We went to a bunch of children's hospitals, and then that was '95, and then in 2000 when Adam's accident happened and when Adam was killed, we opened a camp here in North Carolina called Victory Junction. It's a camp for children with chronic medical needs and serious medical conditions. We've seen over 136,000 kids free of charge have come through camp or have been touched by camp. And it's an incredible place. And that's what the charity ride does. This year is the 21st year of Victory Junction. And next year is the 30th year for the Kyle Petty Charity Ride. It's hard to believe we've been riding motorcycles that long across country, but it's our 30th year, and it's been a lot of fun. And you guys know it. And I will say this: you go to a fairgrounds here or a place here, whatever, to pull, and you see these kids come out, and they love the tractors. But you'll see a kid in a wheelchair, or you see a kid on crutches, or you see a kid with special needs, and you think, oh my gosh, man! And this kid is just fascinated. They just take it all in, and that's the kind of kids that come to camp, and they're incredibly special. We're incredibly blessed that their parents let us take them from them for about a week and look after them for about a week. But the motorcycle ride allows us to do that, and the giving back's a big part of it. I've been very, very blessed, very, very blessed in my life. I'm remarried. My wife, Morgan, I have 3 little boys, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 7-year-old. They're the ones that were at the pool with us, and just been very blessed. So to give back just a small little bit of something to somebody else, that's the way it's supposed to be, man. That's why God put us here. We can say He put us here to drive race cars and pull, but in the end, it was to help each other more than anything else.
Amen to that, brother. And where can we find information about that?
Yeah, you can go to find it at Kyle Petty Charity Ride to find out more about the ride, or go to victoryjunction.org to find out more about Victory Junction. And I'm just going, but I don't know how I'm ever going to find those places again, because I'm going to be on like Full Pull Live all the time now. I mean, that's my deal, man. That's going to be my jam here for a while. I'm going to tell you that.
I love it. I love it. Well, Kyle, we can't thank you enough for your time. Thanks for sharing some stories and some insight with us. And yeah, you've been a fantastic guest, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Kyle.
Cheers.
That was iconic. By far the biggest host or the biggest guest we've ever had. I hate to say that about any of our other guests. By far the best guest we've ever had. I would love to sit down with that guy and just sit around the fire and shoot the shit with the guy because he's been around it.
Yeah. What a special 50th episode gift to start the show. I don't think we've ever brought anyone that hot, but he definitely delivered and
came on pretty quick too.
Yeah, he was very candid in questions across the board. So that's pretty.
What he said, he had a 3, 5, and 7. I can hook him up. 3, 5, 7. Let's go.
Yeah, there you go.
I was going to ask you all at some point. It is our 50th show. Shout out to you fans for making this happen to this point. But I was going to ask you two what your favorite moments were. I have one of my mom, and that might be one of them right there.
That's definitely the biggest for me. I'm sorry we've had a lot of great guests and a lot of that by far was. Look at the guy. He's sitting there hanging out. He's in his room. He's got all his guitars.
Yeah,
we could have definitely talked to that guy for 2 or 3 hours if we had the opportunity to, just to get it to the inside of. I think he's huge NASCAR fan when I was younger. Obviously, for certain reasons thereafter, 2001 issue, you kind of lose interest in it and stuff and what the sport has kind of become. But those guys are, to me, like the old school NASCAR guys, like his father and his grandpa and himself, they were running the circuit like we do, there was a lot bigger things for them back in the day, but they're racers and lie, steal, cheat or whatever just to go racing.
Only steal somebody else's breakfast order. They draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, that was amazing, dude.
I'm going to have to steal that.
Seriously, just to talk to, say what you want about his career. He drove one of the most iconic paint scheme NASCARs of all time. That mellow yellow 42 was definitely etched in everybody's mind, the Days of Thunder and stuff that they took from it. But that's a pretty historic dude right there.
Yeah.
Phenomenal conversation with that guy.
For sure.
Yeah. We got to stuff him in a pulling tractor for sure. No question.
Dude, I'm all, I don't know how STP or whatever affiliation he's got. I'll stick him one of these. No problem.
I think my favorite moment, Chase, no offense, would have to be you eating the hot chip. We kind of started this podcast just as a couple of silly gooses to just talk truck and tractor pulling and, give some people a reason to get thinking about pulling in between the weekends and in between events and stuff. But when we were in Freedom Hall and they were talking about in between the three of us, whichever one did worse was going to have to eat a hot chip on the next podcast show. And I knew that and other people knew that, but to hear them announce that and then to go through with it and watch you eat it and just hear people coming up at events and being like, oh man, that SOB, he wasn't prepared at all. He had no idea what he was in for. That was my highlight for sure.
That was definitely a needle mover for myself and the podcast, probably for reasons that Rich wasn't. But the other thing that stands out to me is, talking about these other shows was this most recent one. Tyler, I know you weren't there, but at Bowling Green, Ohio, we've started out with some of these large events, just trying to get in let them allow us to use this platform to help promote. Hell, we had a lot of people out there watching us live and in person. Hundreds, and that was pretty damn cool to me at that time, and maybe it'll continue to grow. It wasn't because you weren't there, Tyler, but that was another moment that stood out to me.
I know I am the most hated host on the show for sure, so I understand. I will say our first live show at Toma, that was pretty kick-ass too. That we got to have at the bar there and everything, and just
totally had no idea what we were doing.
No, we just made it a circus, and I was a pretty big fan of how it all went down. So
cool. And I don't know. I know we have a little format of the show. We have Dean Holiki coming on. 4-1.
Sorry, Dean.
4-1 limited pro stock puller, now a Grand National class that I'm sure we'll get into with him. But we have a lot of other things to cover before that. So Dean may be another 30-plus minutes away from joining us. So what about the fan hotline, Tyler, Adam? I think we've had a little traction with that.
I think we got a couple things to throw up here that we can work our way through, to be completely honest. So I think we've got a couple of those prepared and at the ready to break down. This first one, our fan hotline, of course. You can reach out to us. Doesn't have to be during the show. Can be in between shows. Even if you're listening to this via iTunes, Spotify, whatever you take your podcast in through, you can shoot a text to 270-681-0509. And this fan says, can we eliminate or combine the 5.0 Pro stocks and light Pro stocks? And then some clarification there, since now PPL and Outlaws are component chassis, seems ridiculous to have two classes almost identical in two organizations. Gentlemen, thoughts? What do you think?
I think it's a good idea. I mean,
I would like someone to clarify the exact distinction difference between the two. I don't know what a light Pro stocks.
So let's just break down what we have. We have the 4.1 limited pros, we have the light pros, then we have the 5.0 pros, and then we have the Grand National or Champions Tour pro stocks, right? So I think the 10,000 pound pro stock and the 5.0 pro stock is a very similar class, except that that pro stock class, the 5.0, is limited to a 5-inch charger and no intercooler, where it's unlimited basically with the pro stocks and have intercoolers. Then you get into the light pro stock class, which is a lighter weight with a component chassis, and the 4.1s are a lighter weight with a non-component chassis, so an ag rear end in both the other two pro stock classes. So I think as the power has increased in the light pro and limited pro classes, that rear end's kind of been an issue. Yes, the cubic inches are different, pumps are different, stuff like that. Like they're really, let's just break it down. From an outsider looking in, because we're just a fan as much as you guys are, it's hard to tell the difference between them. I mean, plain and simple. I think if they did combine the classes, I think it would be a good thing. I would actually look more to the side of combining the 5.0 Pro stock and the Pro stock class together, and then the Light Pro and Limited Pro together for two classes. My opinion.
What are the benefits of keeping them separate? So, the people that are currently running those classes don't have to spend the money to meet the rules. Is that the pro?
I would say the benefit of running them separate is that it's easier to keep them probably fair. I don't know enough about it myself, but
probably enough tractors that they have to have four classes to make the numbers add up for all four classes. You know what I mean? That's my idea.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm seeing that Light Pro is the mini rod of tractor pulling.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we are familiar with that for sure.
Light Pro is the mini rod of tractor pulling. That's a pretty bold statement.
I get what he's saying. It's you almost got more hitch than what you can use. You almost got more power than what you can use. We do see the Light Pros obviously get as rowdy. Maybe not quite as rowdy as the mini rods, but if you had to pick a true tractor class,
well, they definitely get the front end up in the air.
Yeah. I get what Mr. Tyndall's saying there for sure.
I think though, regardless, the question deserves answers. I think any way that you can merge those classes together, just from a fan standpoint, like a general, Kyle Petty doesn't know the difference between a Light Pro and a 5.0 Pro stock, and
no.
He sees a tractor probably he would probably notice a unique tire size, but I'm always in favor of making it where the visual distinction is very simple between classes for a middle of the road guy like a Kyle Petty or whoever. So that's always going to be my vote, but I'm sure there's more to it than just making it that easy.
I will say I feel like when rule changes happen like that, if a rule change were to happen, I feel like it wouldn't be near as big of a deal if they said, hey, at the start of the 2027 season, we are going to merge these, and at that point, you need to make a decision if you're going to run this class or that class. I definitely would hate to see, in like a January or February, a rule gets dropped and, people have to change their setup, when they're about to run an event in 50 or 60 days. We've been on the receiving end of that, and that's kind of a miserable way to go about it, to say the least.
A transitional way to eliminate or merge a class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like it's harder for people to complain if they have enough notice.
Yeah.
Sure. I think the whole idea, even like if we talk about the 4.1s getting added to be a Grand National class, people think, well, they're just making another Grand National class. I think it's a good idea on behalf of the Pro Stock class. The Pro Stock class pulls like 23 or 24 hooks a year.
Too many.
And that's way too many, especially for a class where you're might wrench on the thing maybe less than the super stock diesel, but more than a super farm, or that nature. So,
and parts just aren't sitting on shelves in those classes either, like in ours a lot of times.
Yeah. Like, I think it's good that maybe the 4.1s take some weight away from the pro stocks and get basically, I'm not going to say the same show because there's no displacement for displacement, right?
I have heard that. Yeah.
Dan, you're sounding really smart tonight, Adam.
But I'm just saying, like, I think it's a good idea to take some weight off the pro stock class. I mean, that's a top fuel diesel class I'm saying, like, it's a highly competitive. It's the big dogs, and you make them run 23 times a year, 24 times a year. That gets hard on guys' schedules and just to keep the thing running that long, I think. But, the 4.1s, I think they'll maybe take some weight off the pro stock class and you still get kind of the same show. Now, as far as the light pro mixing with the limited pro or how the 5.0 pro stock works into that equation, that's going to have to be more of a fan input on my side, just to kind of they think.
So
good question. I like the question. I like the feedback from all of us.
Maybe we ask Dean when he comes on.
Yeah.
There we go.
We're actually not arguing too much right now. Let's maybe we can spice it up with the next one.
Yeah. Let's see what we got with the next text here. Okay, y'all suck. I mean, we can't deny that. So we're not making this one up. We did genuinely get a text from somebody.
I love it. It seems to me like that would be from south of Indiana. So it sounds like maybe that was coming from a 270 number. Maybe a CJ Grozik sent that, if I was going to guess.
I could see that. Yeah.
Fans, just so you know, we have your phone number. We might call you.
Yeah, well.
If you're going to say we suck, at least say we suck at. I mean,
yeah.
Be a little more specific. Suck
if anybody sucks, it's me, all right? These guys won championships. What the hell did I do? I'm just some loser in a pink shirt, which shout out to CM Pulling Tires. They are the provider of the hot pink shirt. My father went there this past week and picked up some tires for next season, and they supplied me with a pink T-shirt to wear on the podcast. So shout out to those guys for sure. All right, so we suck. We know that. I mean, we've got shirts printed that says Chase sucks. Adam, non-pulling related question. Are you a fan of the Rolling Stones, given that 2/3 of your rides are mentioned in the song Beast of Burden?
That's a great question. Yes, I do like the Rolling Stones. I do have to say that I am a bit of an imposter. John Hancock had a light super stock named the Beast of Burden, and he sold it. And he actually had like the lips and everything on the tractor, coming from the Rolling Stones. And I always thought, I was like, man, I loved the name of that tractor just for the simple fact of it's like, it's what it is, right?
Oh yeah, a beast of a burden.
Yeah, it's just. But so I stole the name from John Hancock. I am a big fan of the Rolling Stones. I'm not one of the. I'm not going to say I'm one of those people that's like a Grateful Dead fan, where I'm like looking more into the music than just enjoying it.
Not reading into it and trying to find some
like into the backstory and like really getting in depth with stuff. But yes, I do like the Rolling Stones. that was a definitely a huge era of really good music. So, but I did steal the name from another puller. I'm kind of, I guess you can be mad at me. I didn't know that. I guess I didn't know that 2 of the 3 names were mentioned in that song, so I can't be that big of a fan of the Rolling Stones if I didn't know that.
So what? Walk the Line's not mentioned. That I'm not understanding what he's saying. 2 or 3 what's mentioned in the song?
We go back to the question.
Yeah. Two
Rolling Stones, given that 2 of the 3 rides are mentioned in the song Beast of Burden.
So what's the other one?
Well, it's either Footloose or Walk the Line. I mean,
no, but which one?
Like I said, I feel like a dipshit right now because I'm not that big of a fan of the Rolling Stones to know even what they're talking about.
Maybe can we roll the song? Someone send us
I'm going to have to listen to it now.
The minute and second of the song where it says that, we'll play on the show because I'm calling BS. I don't think that's on there, but I haven't seen it.
I'm not going to argue with a loyal fan of the Rolling Stones that likes the name of my tractor. Maybe he doesn't like the name of my tractor. I don't know, but thank you for bringing that up because I did not think of the name, but I do really love the song. I really do like the Rolling Stone. There's a lot of really good songs from that group. There's actually I hate to say it, but there's actually a really funny video clip, and somebody can pull this up at some point in time. But back in the day, Mick Jagger was up on stage singing. Some fan jumped out of the crowd, ran up on stage, and smoked him right in the mouth, punched him right in the mouth.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Really?
Actually happened.
Huh.
They say the Rolling Stone stuff back in the day was some wild ass shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, They had a concert somewhere, I think, where the Hells Angels were the security guards for it.
Yeah, well, that makes good sense for sure.
Yeah, good time. So I'm not completely dumb, but thank you for the interest. That's a good question.
We're gonna have to do a little research and find out what of your other tractors is mentioned in that song, or if perhaps that was a bit of fake news. We're gonna have to find out. All right, next text. What do we got here? You guys need to get Vaughn on. Vaughn Bauer, obviously. A lot of people would like to hear his story and his passion for pulling. I think we need to make work of that this off season. We've obviously teased having a sled guy on, whether that be Donnie Bauer, whether that be Vaughn. If Vaughn would give us his time, I think he would, in fact, be a hell of a guest.
I think that would be an amazing one, and I'd say those guys are pretty deep into harvest right now, but it is on our list to get him or someone in his circle from the sled side of things on this show. Hopefully, during the winter months is the goal, but I can assure you they're probably, I'm guessing, like a lot of guys farming, because those guys, Adam and Vaughn and Scott, farm quite a bit of acreage this time of year. So
yeah, Farmer Bruce was hard at it. He got all of his crops off already, and he got her brought into the co-op, and he's already cleaning up his machinery. So a successful 2025, a successful and safe harvest for Farmer Bruce, but he did have a little bit of a mishap right out of the gate. I think it was day one of harvest, and he'll be overjoyed that I'm bringing this up.
Please indulge.
Yeah. So, power lines, they have this very elusive feature that often jumps out of nowhere. It's called a guide wire, which is like a wire at a 45-degree angle. And the power pole that's, coming back to my building here has a guide wire on it. And old Farmer Bruce cut the wheel a little tight. And I mean, I don't even think he had been harvesting for 30 minutes. And he clipped the auger into that bad girl and really foobarred the combine and had to bring it in for repairs. And he was telling me at work, he's like, that guide wire doesn't even need to be there. I'm going to take that SOB down. There's no need for that thing at all. And I'm just like, yeah, all right. Yeah. Been there for a while. But, it's probably the guide wire's fault. But, poor guy got everything all fixed up, got his corn off. So he's a happy camper, and I'm sure he'll be exceptionally happy to hear that I shared that. So if you hear Bruce, if you see Bruce at the banquet, you can be like, hey, Bruce, been watching out for those guide wires lately?
Yeah.
While we're talking harvest, this always comes to my mind in conversation between shows and so forth. We have a lot of people that listen to these podcasts in their combines or while they're in the field. So special shout out to you all for supporting the No Practice podcast. We're probably one of the only podcasts in the world that sees a lot of our listeners that are in combines and tractors. So I think can be one of our claims to fame because I was talking to somebody, I guess last week, like, I listened to 20-some episodes this year in harvest. It was amazing. I'm like, well, I guess it does kill the time. So shout out to you farmers that are downloading and listening while doing your farming activities. So
yeah, and hot tip: watch out for guide wires. Suckers come out of nowhere. Well, Chase, speaking of harvesting, I believe you did a little harvesting as well in the last 2 weeks, and I think we've got a little clip to share of harvesting that you did, not of the corn variety, but more so of the meat and hooved variety, if you will. If we have that clip, we can roll. Chase, tell us what we're looking at here.
You're looking at a slightly buzzed, very breathless version of myself hiking in the Rocky Mountains with an elk head on my back. I take an annual trip elk hunting and was there last week. Was lucky enough to get a nice 6x6, and with the help of some guides that we hunt with, we had to hike quite the ways down to field dress the elk, and all that's good, all that's great. You party, but then you got to pack it out of the mountains, and it is a struggle, as you can see in the video clip here. I was the one that was tasked with the packing of the elk head out. So
how heavy is that elk head with the with that beautiful rack? We know how you pursue the large rack variety, and this weekend was no different for Mr. Richardson. Tell us how heavy that deal was you're packing out.
I don't honestly have a weight on it. I probably should do it, and felt like 1,000 pounds by the time I was at the top of the mountain, but it was definitely the lightest piece, I think, compared to the rest of the corners of the elk. So I could probably get that information texted to me, and I can let you know, but I don't have an idea off the top of my head.
Well, I got to say, beautiful looking creature there.
It gets a bit difficult when you're walking through trees. So, it's a ton of fun to go out there and do that trip every year. I've talked about it before in this podcast, but that was a hell of a journey climbing out of the mountains, and my guides were having fun. With the audio you can hear in that video, you can hear them heckling me quite a bit.
Oh, I would imagine for sure. I mean, I feel like everybody, after they hang around you, everybody kind of settles into that position, and they know how that goes. So
the old punching bag.
Yeah.
Someone told me the other day, you ever wonder if it's just you?
No, it couldn't possibly be.
I guess there's something to that, but no, it was a fun trip last week. Me and my man Bonesy went out and elk. He killed his on Saturday. I killed mine later in the day Wednesday.
So will there be a tractor pulling event where we will be indulging in some delicious elk meat that was harvested by Chase Richardson truly?
For sure. I don't know, this is a personal preference, but I prefer elk burgers over a typical beef burger.
Okay.
They're very good. So I will definitely keep a stash back for us to eat while we're circle around a methanol campfire sometimes.
Very lean, right?
Yeah.
Very lean.
Very good. Very good. Elk chili, all that stuff's good. So it's expensive. Yeah. I mean, if you ever go to a restaurant, want to buy anything,
you can't sell it, Chase.
Huh?
You can't sell it.
Well, yeah, I guess you can't do a lot of things, but that don't mean we don't do it.
Got to push that gray area, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So no, yeah, good times. Good times. You know, the Rocky Mountains. The season started Wednesday, and like I don't know, I think I may have put it on. I put it on one of my social media stories. You know, the views are remarkable, but I saw a rainbow, like both sides of it. I've never seen that in my life in person. It was pretty astounding to see, at high elevation. I'll see if I can get it.
I thought you were going to give us the old Dumb and Dumber. I thought that John Denver's full of shit. I thought the Rocky Mountains be a little bit more rocky than this.
Yeah. Samsonite, baby. I was way off.
It's way off.
Yeah. So I'll see if I can find that. But yeah, that was my week last week when there was no podcast week. So
I love
cool.
it. I love
what about yourself, Tyler? I saw you were doing your outdoorsman adventures.
Yes.
And I didn't see you. I didn't hear any stories of you passing out in hospitals this week. So
no, I didn't pass out any hospitals, but we do an annual trip with some friends and a random group of buddies and pals. One of my friends from high school organizes it. We did 40 miles on the Pine River, a little over 40 miles, 3 days, 2 nights, kayaking, backpacking style. So you've got your tent, your clothes, your food, and all that with you. And there's our camp set up on the side of the river. We even flint strike a fire for authenticity, to keep ourselves warm. And, man, it rained like a son of a gun all weekend long. And so being out there 50 degrees, raining, setting up a tent, packing in a tent, it really makes you appreciate a good hot shower and a comfortable bed. Before you go on that trip, maybe you'll toss and turn in bed and you're like, man, maybe I need to get a new mattress. This one isn't but,
right.
There's something about setting up a soaking wet tent and setting up a damp sleeping bag in it, knowing that you're going to crawl in that later and go to sleep and then pack it all out in the morning. It makes you appreciate the finer things in life. Wow, Chase,
that's pretty badass.
Yeah.
That's
one of those things I'm not sure I'll ever see again the rest of my life. So obviously it's nice to have a phone in these moments. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. For our audio only listeners, we're looking at Chase's video of his rainbow. I mean, you can see the complete deal there. So,
it is Colorado. There is a little bit of rainbow stuff going on there all the time.
So yeah, but we survived the trip. Only one person flipped in their kayak, and it was kind of funny when they were trying to dry out all their stuff afterwards. They went ahead.
That's pretty sweet, Tyler. That's a hell of a view right there, brother.
Oh yeah, it's a badass trip. It's enjoyable yet miserable while you do it. It's kind of like tractor pulling. Like it's almost so much work. It's almost so much work that you question while you're doing it, while you're on it. But then afterwards, you're like, God, that was a good time. I'm kind of excited to do that again. So
and you drink your way through it.
Usually in past years, I've always brought a handgun with me because we were in more questionable territory and I don't mess around with guns and alcohol. So this was the first year where I left my handgun at home and I brought a fifth of whiskey with me instead. And it was all fun and games until I woke up on day 2 with a bit of a hangover. And there's nothing like packing up a soaking wet tent, jamming yourself in a kayak in the rain, knowing that you have to paddle to your next sleeping spot while you're hungover. So yeah, maybe a gun would have been a better choice, but nonetheless, as Kurt Jacobs says, no peeing in the canoe, Tyler, definitely not. Adam, I feel like you've been up to playing with tractors as usual, but not of the blown variety. I've been seeing that you've just been sitting behind the wheel of a John Deere lately. What have you been doing here?
So that's my dad's 4440 John Deere, which is a cabless John Deere. I don't know. It's if you look over to the left of this picture, you can kind of see where my house still is kind of in shambles. I've been living in it for 12 years and need some landscaping finished up and stuff. But we have a ditch here that runs in between me and my neighbor's house, and it was getting really hard to mow and we don't have a lot of equipment. We just have that tractor there. It's got a box blade on the back with some spikes on it. And I've been kind of trimming away from the ditch there, trying to clean it up a little bit and getting to move some dirt. Well, my neighbor came over tonight before we got on the podcast. He brought his little tractor over to a tiller and we dug it out. And I've been kind of building a pad here behind the shop for maybe an addition one day. And just, it's kind of nice to get away from everyday work by doing a little bit of dirt work. I see a lot of guys, that I know that retired and they buy excavators and tractors and skid steers and stuff like that. And I can sure feel the enjoyment, of working with my hands all day and making parts and being super accurate and trying to do the same with dirt and a tractor is pretty fun to me. So, yeah, I've been messing around with doing a little dirt work.
I feel like that is a key sign of retirement. My father has been fairly retired for a bit now, and it wasn't too many years into his quote-unquote retirement that old boy bought himself an excavator and a skid steer. So you might be onto something there. The moment you get a skid steer and an excavator, probably going to want to cut back on those hours and spend some time moving some dirt around for sure.
That's right. It is. It's good to get away. It's really hard to do. I work all day, and then this time of year, there's it's getting dark at 6:30. So daylight savings would come around. It'll be dark at 4:30 here before long, and I got a little bit of time to do a little bit of work. It is kind of therapeutic to get out there and just not look at the same thing over and over, because that in the big scheme of things, Tyler, you can probably understand it. In manufacturing, machining, sometimes it gets a little monotonous doing the same thing over and over and over again. So it's good to kind of do something different every now and then.
Yeah, for sure. I would say the only thing that breaks up the monotony of our workplace is just the people. Trying to keep 20-some people happy and cordial. I very ironically, as of probably in the last 6 months, I'll look at people when they're saying something, and I'll, almost like a school teacher, I'll say, helpful or harmful. And I'm sure there's people that just want to punch me in the mouth, but there's, man, trying to wrangle in a bunch like that, just.
Tyler, I'm going to ask you a question. Today, obviously, three of us speak pretty regularly, daily or every other day, if not during podcast week. And today you were delinquent getting back to me on something I was asking, and then you came and you responded, I apologize. You downloaded some app where you can't be on your phone. No, I'm serious. Explain what that is. Explain the thought process. And sounds like it's a campaign within your old workplace. So I want to hear about this.
No, that is not in our workplace at all. That's a personal thing of mine. So albeit I often don't have my priorities in order at all, which means, I'll buy an old crappy motorhome or be obsessed with buying a truck as cheaply as possible and then doing as little as possible to daily drive it for a couple of years, which you could argue is a pretty horrible use of my time, or spend 6 years trying to build a house, and which now I'm living in the house. I got my occupancy permit, but I've been looking at bar stools, and I'm like, these are all cheap pieces of crap. I think I'm going to build my own bar stools instead. But anyway, nonetheless, efficiency is the name of the game. I'm always busy doing something, even if I come home from work. I'm setting up a ring and pinion for my rock crawler, which I'm going to, take to the Badlands in Indiana here in November. And I just find that a cell phone can be so distracting. So I took it upon myself. I downloaded an app, and I still got to be able to text and take phone calls at work, obviously. But this app that I downloaded, which this is not a plug for them, I just had to apologize to Chase because it disables the app that we use to communicate for the podcast. It blocks Facebook, Snapchat, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, all of that. And so I just set it for a rigid from 6 a.m. until 5 p.m. It doesn't matter if I want to get into those or not. You can't open them. And so you don't even get notifications. So poor Chase is reaching out to me, and I'd like to pride myself that I'm usually pretty proficient at
Johnny on the spot.
Yeah, within 10 minutes or so. I'm usually
way
right
better
back.
than me normally.
What's that?
You're way better than me.
I try to be. There's something that needs
hey, dude, you guys, we all have our own issues, okay?
So yeah, I downloaded an app that blocks all that, so I'll probably be slower at getting back from the.
What's the app called? Maybe not for.
Hey, no free rides. If they want to be an advertiser, they got to make it worth it. So
there you go.
Yeah, it's pretty good so far. And at the end of the day,
efficiency is the key. Is that your personal mantra?
Yeah, pretty much. I actually. Because when I get home, if we don't have service guys out on the road and I don't need my cell phone, I actually have a lock box it's like a plastic box, and you lock your phone in it and you enter in the amount of hours and minutes you want to lock it in there, and you double tap the button, and it doesn't matter if you're getting a phone call and you set it to be locked in there for 4 hours and your phone's ringing 45 minutes in, you can't get into it unless you physically smash it with a hammer. And some people are like, well, geez, do you have a self-control problem that you can't stay off your phone? And I'm like, well, not really, but we all know how it goes. I don't care. Like, you're working on something and all of a sudden you get a text and it's your buddy and he sends you some piece of crap on Marketplace that he thinks you need to buy and you think he's right, so you're looking at the pictures of it and you're like, well, maybe that's a pretty good deal, but what kind of comps we got in the area, and next thing you know, you're looking at Marketplace links for a Chevy Vega, and then you're sitting down, seeing what kind of turnkey 4-link kits there are for them, and next thing you know, bam, there went 45 minutes. So, yeah, I'm all about it.
This can quickly go from a tractor pulling podcast to
You're saving money, Tyler.
Lifestyle Habits podcast by Tyler Saul.
Well, you guys know I try to structure my day. Like Chase will be like, I might call you later, and I'm like, I will call you at 6:40, or I'll call you at 10:37. Like,
do you set an alarm when you do that?
What's that?
Because when you say I'll call you at 6, it's not 6:01, it's 6. Do you set an alarm to do that?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, so we'll just break it down. We're just gonna break it down real quick so you can put this out there. Tyler, super organized. I try. Time frame, he's all in the deal. Chase, not so much. I'm a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But when the phone rings, I try to answer. Still the only guy that's made every podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. I'm not perfect at it. If you walk into my building, you'd be like, this guy doesn't have his shit together at all, because you walk in here.
We all have our deficiencies, Tyler.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I'm out here. I'm trying, man. So.
We all have our deficiencies.
I was pretty organized. Damn.
Chase is very organized. Like I said,
I'm not as punctual, nowhere near as Tyler Saul at all.
Yeah, Tyler Saul is pretty punctual, dude.
I mean, I have to be from work. Like if somebody says we're doing a Zoom meeting at 2 p.m., I'm gonna be on there at 1:58. So yeah, it's part of it. I can't tolerate somebody who's late. That's no good. So
Yep.
Well, behind the
I got to
scenes,
mention real quick. I'm sorry. I got to say, hey, Aaron. Daddy's here.
A comment there backstage.
Yeah. Hey, Dad.
Family affair. Hopefully he's not listening to any of the language tonight.
Hey, Daddy. Hey, he's becoming really awesome, man. I mean, both my kids are pretty cool to see them both growing in their own sense. But he's been a lot of fun. So, hey, buddy, be nice to your mom. Get in the bath when she tells you to. Go to bed when she tells you to. And for the love of God, eat something besides something out of a wrapper. I love you.
Awesome shout out there from Adam.
Richard Petty finger there. He was yes, I like it.
Well, if it feels like we've been rambling for a little bit, that's honestly because we've been waiting for our people to come in backstage. And unfortunately, we have both of them in right now, but I feel like we got to go to our Man, I Wish There Was Practice segment first. Which is a pretty epic video, and I guess we'll roll the video first. We'll kind of digest this on our own and then bring in the gentleman that was behind the wheel for it and get his take on it, if that sounds good with you guys.
Sounds good.
All right, we got Willie Frank.
All right, so what we've got here is your traditional, what looks to be a second-gen Dodge here, no doubt, with the old Cummins in there, possibly a 12-valve, maybe a 24-valve.
Upgraded rear axle there on that thing.
Yeah, you can see the hub, the full floater sticking out.
Diesel truck, 2.6
diesel truck. Yep, nice charge.
See some glowing underneath the hood there.
Pretty nice looking pass, yeah. And you see this thing at the end, and it seems to be running away and starts on fire. We've got the audio turned down on it, but what's happening right now is the engine's revving up. There's flames coming out of the hood. You can see the guy still in the cab of it. And I've watched this obviously before the show. The engine's just revving up like crazy, and they can't get this fire put out. It's a pretty rough deal. I mean, we're talking what, guys? 5-6 foot flames out of the hood of this thing.
It's definitely 5 foot over the cab.
Yeah,
pulling the kill switch.
Way bigger than the fire pits in your at Adam's trailer.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's a bad deal, and I mean, it's still burning like quite aggressively, almost reminiscent of the old Doc Christensen fire scenario as well. And,
you know it's pretty bad when you see stuff dripping on the ground. That means it's been on fire for a decent amount of time.
That's probably stuff getting liquidy that used to be more solidy, if you will. It's just melting, because of the heat. And you can see the fire truck pulling up, and like the wild thing is this engine is still running away like this, and it's still going, and the flames are still going. It's relentless. What do you think, gentlemen? Should we just keep
It's running
rolling this,
so hard it's not even putting out smoke.
right? Should we just
'Cause
keep
the
rolling this video and bring the
just
gentleman on?
let her roll, and we're just going to bring
Yeah.
this guy on and see what.
Well, without further ado, let's find out who was behind the wheel of this truck and what he's got to say about it. Mr. Ryan, how are you doing this evening?
Good.
Does it bring a tear to your eye just watching this video?
It does.
Well, I don't blame you. That's a pretty beautiful looking truck. Break it down for us stupid spark plug people as far as what the hell happened there.
Well, actually, I guess we got to kind of correct something. I was supposed to drive on Friday night.
Okay.
There's three of us on the truck.
Oh,
Hank Carlton is the main owner of the truck. I was supposed to drive Friday. We got rained out, so we didn't get to pull, and I couldn't make it Saturday, which is what you're seeing now. So we had one of our buddies drive it. He usually drives a hot farm tractor at our pools.
No, he's got a hot 2.6.
Yeah,
boy, does he.
yeah. He's filled in a couple times pulling the 2.6 truck in the point series. So, but yeah, it's a common rail Cummins motor. It cracked, as you can see here, just a little while. It cracked.
There's a little glowing in there.
Yeah, right there. When the smoke's coming, it cracked. The fuel line cracked and sprayed right onto the manifold.
Oh.
So with that going, it caught on fire and it got so hot the springs for the air guillotine shut off gave away, and so pulling the kill switch didn't work.
The guillotine wouldn't shut because it lost tension in the springs.
Yeah, it lost tension on the Dodges. You've got to put the guillotine upside down, so gravity. If it loses tension, it's gravity. It goes open all the way. So that's why the air knife wouldn't work on it. So it's just it's still running. It's feeding. The fuel's feeding the fire with it running. They got it shut off at one point.
Yeah, and then it restarted, right?
Yeah, it restarted. The cables shorted out on the starter, and it started back up.
What are the chances of that?
Odds.
Yeah.
You get some of these engines nowadays, you get one little sensor goes out on them and the damn things won't even start so you can drive it to work. The good old Cummins burning for 45 minutes or 45 seconds, she just starts on her own. I mean, like, I hate to make light of the situation because it's obviously incredibly unfortunate, but it just a testament that thing just, I mean, it just fires right back up and starts running away there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, diesel engine doesn't sparky in there, Tyler. Just needs a little moving and grooving, and she's going.
Yeah.
Yeah. The truck, after this incident, the motor got taken out, and it got sent up to Kentucky to O'Brien Diesel to check it out and run it on the dyno, and it made the same exact numbers as it did this winter. So,
are you shitting me? So even after all that,
even after
all that running away, with it, because I mean that thing sounds like it's revving up pretty decent, really, right? Like, did you guys have a data logger that still functioned at that point, or what do you think it's free?
No, it's the Bosch ECM was, the wiring harness was toast. It had to get replaced. Whole wiring harness on it. So, but I mean, after they got all the water out of the cylinders, it fired up. So
and still made good power. What's something like that make for power on the dyno? You care to say, or is that a secret?
It's over 1100.
And how much torque?
I can't remember on torque. It's
understandable. What are these 2.6s making for boost?
I can't. It's been so long since I drove it or looked at the data logger. I can't remember what it makes for boost.
Trade secrets, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What do you feel needs to change to prevent a scenario from that from happening again?
There's several things that I would that it probably could on the common rail fuel lines. There's a Fleece has some deflector. Fleece Performance has a deflector to kind of help if it does crack a injector line to keep it off the manifold.
Okay.
It may be this. It's some kind of thing that they have to help keep it off the manifold. There's another one that's got blankets all around the exhaust wrap. So,
Ryan,
yeah,
we're going to change the subject a little bit from a somber subject of down 2-6. Appreciate you chiming in and explaining probably something that's not very fun to talk about. And I'm not saying coincidentally, but you happen to also be one of the promoters of the Diesels and Dark Corners event taking place this weekend. Obviously, we're not showing that video, encouraging anything like that to ever happen again. But the Diesels and Dark Corner event is one of the biggest diesel pulls in the world, if not the biggest, going on in White Plains, Georgia this weekend. Tell us a little bit about how this all happened. If anyone's never been there, it is a fascinating facility. Very, very rural Georgia, but they will pack the people in there. Give us a quick rundown of the event and where it started and kind of where we are here. And for anyone that hasn't tuned in or been there, they'll be well aware of it this weekend.
Yeah. This event started back in 2010, so we're on our 15th year. We're in White Plains, Georgia, in a little community called Liberty. And I guess the event got its name from back in early days that where the event is located. It's like the last part of civilization back there. And they said, if the power ever goes out, you're over in Dark Corners part of the county. So that's how the name got, Diesels and Dark Corners. It's a
awesome name.
Yeah.
15th year, and every year it keeps getting bigger. As I expect this to be a big event this year as well. Looks like we may have lost Ryan.
Yeah. We got a little something different for the diesel truck classes, registration, and some of the for the diesel truck classes, 2.6, 3.0, 3.6, and super stock had to pay a higher registration fee. So your 3.0 class had we had a registration fee of $1,000. So there was 40 trucks. So they're competing to win $40,000 divided up into their class. So first place wins.
That's pretty awesome.
$10,000.
A little bit of the Farley, Iowa model, just taking it to Diesels and Dark Corners event. Pretty cool. So
tell us that pay structure there, Ryan, for all the competitors that are going to be showing up and the interested fans that want to see people battling for that prize money.
Yeah. So let's see. Your 3.0 had 40, so it's $40,000. Your 2.6, let's see, I can't remember about. Let's see, 2.6 is I think about $7,500 to win 2.6, and 3.6 and super stock had about 15 show ups.
So you're doing about like what, 10,000 to win, and then structure down from there to in that 3.0 class.
Yeah, that's right.
Was that pay structure with the higher registration fee, but it's going back to the payout? Was that generally well received by the participants?
Yes, it was very well received. We kind of done little feelers out before we actually done it, so it was very well received.
Also, I heard a rumor, Ryan, that I forgot the class, maybe the 3.0 class, that some guys are selling their spots. Is that true, or can you comment?
That was true.
Can you
we cut it off October 12th, and the registration. And so there's people that bought their spots for more than $1,000.
Wow.
Tyler, next year let's go buy some of these spots and see if we can auction them off.
Yeah, easy,
Right.
Chase. He'll be selling them on full pull picks.
Well, that's cool. That's a real testament to the event you're putting on there. You know, when you have people that eager to get in there, instead of just viewing that as, oh, hey, we missed registration, we're not going to get a spot. They're like,
Yeah.
I want to go that bad. I'm willing to overpay for one of these slots to try to get our foot in the door and compete in that. And I feel like that's not a lot of things that too many promoters can say. So definitely hats off to yourself and all the people involved in putting an event like that on. I know there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes for sure. So you must have a hell of a crew there.
Yeah, we do. We work together. We put on 2 regular season pools at the facility before this one. So we all work together. We've been working together probably for 15, 20 years, all of us. So we know what's going on, and we like to use some Southern hospitality to for these people coming in. So
Do you think a poll this time of year reaches out better than maybe the other two do?
Well, yeah, our other 2 are just we do antique pools, antique tractors, and then we kind of got an association with Southern Pullers Association, which
Sure.
used to be a PPL association. So they got some blown 2-wheel drive modified trucks and some mod 4-wheel drives. But yeah, it's 3 times as big as what our regular season pools is.
I think events like, you can say what you want to about tractor pulling and kind of what it revolves around. We all kind of know it revolves around a farmer's schedule, obviously. Yeah. But you see some events like these where you get guys that have been out of season for a month or so, and they're already getting itching to come back and pull again. So it seems like a pretty big event that you got, where you got guys that are doing everything they can to get there. You guys have the what Kusliks went down there last year, did they not? The Cummins Killer
That's
team.
right.
You usually get some pretty good super stock diesel trucks down there, right?
Yeah. We get, the Hazleys. We got both Kusliks bringing both Cummins Killers this time.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got 20 super stock trucks signed up.
Jeremy Yeager coming down there?
I think Yeager's selling his truck.
Is he?
I don't think he's on the list, Adam. I saw it quickly.
Okay.
Yeah. He's not.
I need to keep in touch with him. I got his number on my phone and stuff. I need to keep up with him. I've partied a lot with them guys at Fort Recovery, where we did not pull 1 second the entire weekend, but we had a hell of a time partying.
Yeah, I'll bet the beer was still cold. Ryan, one final question before we let you go. You talked about the engine from that truck, being on the dyno and making good power yet. Is the truck going to make the event with that power plant in it? Or will it be sitting? It is. The truck that started on fire and burned, you guys are going to have the engine stuffed back in that thing, and it's going to be roaring down the track.
It's already made 2 or 3 passes since it caught on fire this spring. And it's winning.
Hell yeah.
So do you have to get a new doghouse, or just shoot a little paint on that laser removal of the paint there on the doghouse?
It was already pretty rusted truck. So now it's sooted up rust, and they talked about just clear coating over that burnt hood.
Yeah.
Well, there was paint on it. It just looked like the flames accelerated the paint off of it.
What's the name of the truck, Ryan? Is it Burner?
Yeah. It's the truck's name is Sue.
Sue, all right. Sue.
Yeah. We but it needs to be like Sue Resurrected.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, it's cool to see that somebody can take on damage like that, and that the engine can still be making power and the truck can still be making passes inside of the same year. I feel like there's
That's
it's
pretty
cool
awesome.
to see things come right back like that. And best of luck with that event there, Ryan. And thanks for giving us your time tonight, sir.
Yeah,
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Ryan, thanks for joining us. And we don't want you back on here for a burning truck, but we'll be on to talk diesel and dark corners again, I have a feeling.
Yeah, good to see you again, Chase.
Yeah, you too, buddy. Have a good luck this weekend.
All right. Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Man, that's a pretty disheartening situation right there, man. Watch that thing burn like that.
You gotta feel pretty helpless for sure.
They may be as dumb as we are. They're back running 2 or 3 times since then. That happened this week. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. They're probably figuring out a way to cut the air off to that damn thing.
Yeah.
That was pretty crazy.
No, for sure. Shout out to those guys. They had mini rods there one time, a couple times, I believe, a few years ago. It is really cool. Like, if you just want to go somewhere and party for a weekend, I would recommend going there.
So, I don't know, like that run that they made with that truck, looking at the dirt, looks like it could be pretty grabby. Looks like, the dirt, the closest I ever pulled any dirt like that was Saluda, South Carolina. And that was the best. I mean, really good for mini rod pulling.
Oh yeah.
Phenomenal.
They get the moisture in it. And I've attended that event one time as a spectator. It was a badass track. Definitely different type of dirt, but it hooks. So,
it looks like it does.
Yeah. So, Tyler, we have our main guest of the night that we've had to meet with for a bit. We're not going to sell them short, but I think I'll let you do the intro for who we got coming on now, Mr. Dean.
Well, I mean, you just took it right there. Without further ado, Mr. Dean Holiki, I believe it is pronounced. Dean, how we doing this evening, sir?
Good. Happy 50th too.
Oh, well, thank you, sir.
Well, you're on there for the 50th, brother.
Yeah, well, you won 50 grand. You won 50 grand, Dean. We needed to have you on for the 50th. That's no coincidence, right?
Yeah, there you go.
And then whenever you and your wife have your 50th anniversary, all 3 of us expect to be there as an invite. So we'll just call us the 50 Club.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not getting too close to that 50 club. Far away.
How many years you been married, Dean? Let's just go right into the lifelong relationships. How long you been married?
Well, 20 years. I always go by how my daughter Caitlin's age is, and she's 20.
There you go.
That works out good.
Yep.
There you go. We've introduced you as a 4-1 limited pro stock, now Grand National class puller. We'll just go right into it. What's your immediate reaction to the 4-1s now being a Grand National class? And did you see this coming? Have you been campaigning for it? Tell us your first impressions, so to speak.
I think it's exciting. I wasn't the one that was campaigning. Feigenbaum's kind of got that going. Bill Feigenbaum from Iowa, they got a list going. I was pleasantly surprised to see that there was a pretty big list of pollers from different organizations that said they were going to poll with the group. So I think it's exciting. I'm hoping that everybody travels and follows the commitment, and I think it'll be neat to see some bigger shows for that group of pollers, and I think it showed at Farley that you can drag a big group of tractors around.
On a really good track, like the class has performance. Like they did really good on that track. I mean, it was a very exciting class. I think that's what we were trying to figure out earlier, right? So somebody brought up the question, maybe we can bring it up again, about combining the limited pros and the light pros and the 5.0s and all that stuff. I mean, I don't know how you feel about all that. I just know that the limited pro class is a very highly competitive class that has horsepower.
Correct. The big thing there is, where do you find that common ground on weight? Clint Tucker already does it for indoor pulling, and we run 9,000 pounds there, and that's tough to compete with the light pros there. But then there's other classes out east that they do run it, So it works, but there is a difference. Light pros, we've caught up to their horsepower, but they make some good wood.
Right.
So we haven't. You're our first ever 4-1 limited pro competitor on this show. Obviously, the timing of the Grand National news played into it, but you do have a decorated pulling career. Why don't you? We like to, us three, and probably a majority of our fans know the differences. But can you, outside of turbo size and weight, distinct the difference between a 4-1 limited pro stock, a heavy pro stock, and a 5.0? Is it just as simple as turbocharger sizes, or are there other variables that differentiate each of them?
Well, like Light Pro, I think is 8,500, and then most of them guys got a cap of like a 5-inch, either exhaust or intake, and 8,500 pounds, and that's what they weigh, and then they're like 540 cubic inch. Limited Pro is 640 cubic inches, kind of spun off of the Super Farm class, but then they went to a 4.1 turbo, 4.1 inlet. It's like 4.5 exhaust, and then 9,500 pounds. 5.0 is component chassis, or you can run an egg chassis, and 5-inch turbo. Most of them follow the, you got to buy a Weimer turbo, 24.5 tires in all of them classes. Your diesel.
No intercooler though, right? In the 5.0 Pro.
Correct. No intercooler. 4.1s, they're all grouped up in a close area of horsepower, and that, but there's differences. So
okay, Light Pro, Limited Pro, and 5.0 Pro. Can you run an intercooler? No.
And we've actually put a 5.0 turbo on my tractor, and we can turn the fuel pump up enough, and we won one of Clint Tucker's indoor pole zone.
Well, you win about everything, brother. There's nothing going to put me past you, like doing whatever. You're going to win and pull wherever you're going to go.
Yeah, don't get a me, Roger. You'll win that too.
No shit.
The 5.0s are pretty tough nowadays. The Sigma pumps, and they get their own Sigma pump, so we're a little bit behind.
So I heard you say, you got to run a Weimer turbo. How do you feel about, the box turbo rules, when they say, okay, everybody's got to run this charger? Is that a good thing for the sport and the class, or is that a bad thing?
I don't know if I want to. I'll answer it the best I can. I'm not for it. I feel that you guys would, people, I'll just use it in your class. How would you feel if you said you had one blower? So I just don't like it. Yeah. I got a good supplier. They treat me good. And I think there needs to be a little ingenuity, and there needs to be a little rival. Some of my best friends run Hart turbos, which are good turbos, but it's fun to beat them. And when they beat me, I feel like I got to try harder.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what Kyle Petty said too, right?
That's right.
Absolutely. So what made Dean decide to jump into a 4.1 when you got rid of that semi?
We honestly quit to buy a lake home, and we were done polling, and then we truly, first year it was cool, there was COVID, and there wasn't much polling, and then we realized we don't have any friends outside of tractor pulling much, because we went pulling so many years. And then one day Beth called, and they were having Shipsheawana NTPA event. She said, "You on your way home from work? I got appetizers. Let's watch the pole." And I was kind of sitting there like a little baby. And she said, "What's the matter?" And I says, "Well, this sucks. We should be pulling there." And she says, "I don't know why you don't buy a tractor." And I don't think
what a good wife.
Yeah, I don't think I gave her more than a day to think about that. The next weekend, we went about a tractor.
Hell yeah.
Green light. So
tell us about.
Go ahead.
Tell us about that transition, if you don't mind. Obviously, you can give us a little background. We actually have a little bit more of a connection than most people would know about. Dean's got a trucking company and stuff, but kind of, can you talk us through like the whole getting into the semi and then eventually getting out of that and into the tractor, like switching it up, and where originally you got into it?
I'll just tell you a little history. I started with a super stock 4-wheel drive pickup. Mm-hmm. And then I went, yep, there you go. That was our first vehicle. And you can see Caitlin there, how little she was.
You must have just been married that day, Dean. You must have just been married.
What year truck? What year truck is that? What year is this picture taken? I mean, break it down for us, Dean. Give us the whole.
Well, I think that's about 78. We bought that Bill Suki. Beth was actually pregnant there with Caitlin, and that's my daughter Rachel. So that would have been 2005, 2004. So Bob Tuma helped us build that, and we ran that 3-4 years, and we won the UPM state points a couple of years. Had a partner by the name of Jeremy Teedy in that. Cool thing about that truck is we had $20,000 into that.
Was that Dean's first ever pulling vehicle right there?
No, I stock semi pulled. I don't know if you remember that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that black semi that I used to have. We took that pulling all the time and knocked the rear end out a lot. And then you could pull at UPM or NTPA events after the show. And a guy by the name of Bob Toomas said, "Hey, why don't you quit wrecking your daily driver and let's build a pulling vehicle." So that's how that started. And then, I fell in love with the diesel smoke, so we got a hot farm, which turned into super farm. And then I thought, God, semi would be cool because that's our trucking business. The semi was fun, had a really good time with it. And the tractor Limited Pro was the hardest transition. My super farm I could feel when we took off. This thing I couldn't feel when I took off. The tractor.
Right.
The semi is just heavy enough that as long as you made good horsepower and everything worked, it plows its way down there.
And kept it straight.
Yeah.
Which has been your favorite? Through your history as a puller, like what's your favorite class you've competed in? Obviously, I'm sure there were some competitive rivalries, or certain times you really were motivated to do this or do that. But like, if you had one day to pull one thing you've had, which would it be?
Favorite? I mean, there's a few standout things, so I don't have one favorite. But my favorite was the semi. One was the winning the ring at Bowling Green. I think we were in a pull-off with Dick Bonner. So that was pretty cool. And actually, Friday night we had to run 3 times, first, last, and then the pull-off. And then we won it by like a foot for distance to win the ring. So that was a big deal to me. The other big thing in my life is not a lot of people do this, but I drove Brett Berg's mod. That was cool.
Oh, wow.
At Sandwich, and I think I got 3rd there. So I led the class for a long time until Brandon got by me. Go figure. And then the Limited Pro is, we've had a lot of good wins with that. So to me, that is very special in my heart.
That's awesome.
Right.
Tell us about the Brett Berg driving his modified Sandwich. How did that come about? Was he not there? Or?
That again?
How did you end up?
Well, I helped him on and off for quite a few years, and so then he had to go to a funeral. I think it was in Texas. Well, then he ended up flying into Chicago that morning and drove his stuff down. And then he said, "Well, I'll run it at noon, and if I can't win the points, you can drive it." Well, then it's your pulling vehicle. Just drive your thing. And Rob Russell says, "You better drive that. He's never going to let you again." And so I drove it that night.
I was going to say, you look at Brett's past, man, like the guy's been pulling since he was like 12 years old probably. And, sit in the seat of a guy's seat, prime equipment, man. Like, I know you guys have obviously both from Minnesota, and you guys see each other all the time and help each other out all the time. That'd be like pretty awesome when he's sitting, like, out of all guys, like Brett Berg's a pretty good dude to be sitting in the seat of the tractor.
Yeah, and he was there. Thankfully, he was, because I don't know who did it without him.
Right.
Was a small part of you thinking maybe you needed a 4-engine tractor at that moment?
I always wanted one. I'm not gonna lie. I was actually gonna buy the chassis that Ricky's got. But then Ricky, I think, broke one in half, and then Brett had to bail him out, and that got sold. And I said, "That's fine. We'll just keep pulling." So,
well, you could have bought it. You could have bought that chassis again, but he's never sold it. So that's a pretty good one. I mean, Brett's been doing this shit a long time. I mean, that was a pretty good tractor. So you barely missed out. Maybe if Ricky wants to get rid of it, you might still be able to get it.
I always wondered in my mind how many times that tractor's been down the track, but
a lot.
With me and Beth, I think it'd be pretty hard. We run just me and her together. I got one buddy from Montgomery that helps me. So,
yeah.
Has Beth ever made a pass in the seat?
No, I got her to breaking the tires, and I got her to rev it up at the fairgrounds once on the grass, and that was, I think, about 3,000 RPMs, and she had enough of that.
Yeah.
I wish she's sitting here. I wish she could drive it so I could give her all the you did this wrong and that wrong. No storming to the total.
Yeah.
But she lets you know when you screwed up, does she?
Oh, she's my toughest critic.
Everybody's got to have one.
And you know what's really funny about that? Like, you know, Jamie sees stuff, and even my mom sees stuff. Like my mom, she like something don't sound right. She has no fucking clue what doesn't sound right, but she just knows something doesn't sound right, right? Like, or this or the other. Now, they won't tell you that until something goes wrong, but yeah, I heard something wrong with that. I just didn't say anything.
Yeah, here's one for you. When I got to drive the semi at Louisville for Simons, I was worked on a little bit to help them get it going.
Yeah, I know about this.
I was pretty stoked to drive that damn thing because I've never pulled in Louisville. And
Right. Hell yeah.
And so I was stoked. And when I forgot to turn the suspension on, of course, everybody knew I was really upset with myself. So that part went good. But we got to the hotel at like 1 in the morning. We had like a 3 a.m. flight. So I get up and we're doing something. And the first thing that comes out of her mouth, and she says, "You gonna remember how to turn the suspension on?" And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. We'd been to bed for like an hour and a half. She packed up her bag, and that's all we said.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. How does it feel? I mean, obviously, RJ, you know, they buy a vehicle from you. You know everything. You know the in and out of that whole entire vehicle. I mean, you built it, right? So how's it been like working with him and still getting to drive something that wasn't yours there initially? I mean, because you helped him there a lot. Still probably do, I'm sure.
You know, it was really, you know, at first I didn't know what I was getting into. And then it was really fun to build that friendship and get to know them guys. I don't know if that's irreplaceable. And you know, it's fun to see RJ, you know, he helped, and Brandon, and we got to have a little joy. There's a few things like, you know, hey, we got to get a bigger turbo on this. And there's like no issue. Just,
yeah, you're basically saying like, well, if you want to make this better, you know, you change out the cylinder head and you can put a better turbo on it. And if you do this, and hey, these guys want to win, right? So
yeah, and that first night, it was like 9 o'clock, and I was getting pretty wore out. I left at like 1 in the morning and drove down there, and we worked on that all day. It was like 9 o'clock at night, and it was taking forever to get oil pressure, and I had enough. And RJ, he just wanted to see that thing have run, and my God, that thing must have ran for a minute and a half with no oil pressure, and I was about ready just to shit my pants. And it finally came around because it was bucking us, and but you know, it was pretty rewarding to see them guys do good that first year. And I'm not gonna lie, that Bowling Green deal that time, I cried. I did cry at home. It was like Days of Thunder, I say.
Yeah.
yeah, some bitch is driving my car.
I love it. So back it up a little bit. When you say, you know, forgot to turn the suspension on, for those listening, you know, we see a super semi go down the track, and, you know, some people just look at it, hey, that's a semi truck. But dive into, you know, we saw RJ say, I hate that switch. What does that switch do, and why is that a make or a break for a semi when it comes to making a pass down the track?
Well, semi-class is one of the only ones that you can give yourself suspension. And they started that years ago when they had multiple turbos. And I think, don't quote me to it, but I think, you know, they said they had to spool up the turbo so they take off without the suspension. The tires would spin, and then they could give it the suspension. Well, if you don't give it the suspension, the rear end starts chattering real bad. So that's the point of it. Nowadays, the turbos have gotten so good that, boy, it'd be hard to argue that anybody doesn't turn their suspension on before they take off.
Well, when you say turn the suspension on, mechanically, what's taking place to make that thing drive so different?
You either got airbags in them or hydraulic cylinders, and it makes your middle axle go solid. So it lifts lifts the back of your truck up and puts the weight on that middle axle. Otherwise, there's not a load on that middle axle.
It's doing the prying effect. I mean, it's just going to try to pick it up like any other pulling vehicle. So the suspension helps. And then they've done some things right. Like, for anybody who doesn't know, the super semi class, and I hate to bring you into this because you're an ex super semi puller, but I think that may or not be the reason you got in or out of that class or out of the class, but like it's really weird how rules are applied to that thing with the suspension and how much you're allowed to pull the front end off the ground and, you know, kind of vaguely what it is. You're talking about 6, 7, 8 guys in the whole country that run the class, and they kind of play games with the truck, and it kind of makes it pretty disheartening, you know, to have 6 vehicles or get the sled like you said, there's 10 trucks in the class. I get reset at Bowling Green. I have to run 3 times with this thing, and it's not made for that, or, you know, it's very hard to do. Like, did it have anything to do with any of that stuff? Like, you know, in that semi stuff?
You know, I don't. It's when you make it run good, and then somebody else can come along and monkey with the suspension height and have the same pass. That's when your frustration comes out.
Okay.
You know, because you can manipulate that drawbar quite a ways. So if you know you've got a good running horsepower truck, and then you leave your tire an inch off the ground, or when you leave the line, you're supposed to have your back tire make contact with the dirt. It's not supposed to lose contact with the dirt. So your rear tire. So when your front axle goes down, your truck lifts up, your rear tire is supposed to stay making contact. Well, there is times where that certain vehicles, that rear tire can be 3 inches off the ground or 2 inches, or if there's no tech people around, or you're pulling here or there. I'm not saying it happens all the time. I'm just saying it's one way to manipulate it.
That sounds like
and usually there's only about 7 or 8 dudes there, right? At most.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, like I said, maybe one of the most controversial. It's kind of like what I say about antique pulling. You know, like antique pulling. There's not a lot of them, but there's more cheaters than there are straight dudes around there. Like they fucking cheat like you never seen. I'm not calling semi-pullers cheaters. I'm just saying, like, it seems to me like the rules around that truck, maybe you have an idea for what that should do. So maybe it brings some numbers back to it. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's obviously a fan favorite class. That super semi class is pretty pretty awesome, right? And
it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. You win at Bowling Green, you can, and I mean, there's other classes that know this too, but when you can hear the fans screaming and the thing, and I mean, that's one vehicle that the one time I told the kids, I said, go ahead and sell shirts, and you can keep the cash. And a fresh batch of like 2,000 shirts. They sold every fucking one. Oh, freaking one.
Well, no, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like this. That's what I'm saying. The super semi class is a very popular class, and it seems to me they kind of get cut short a little bit because, you know, I mean, whether they like it or not, there has been people in the class and have gotten out of the class for certain reasons. We don't know what they are because I don't pull that class, but it seems like it's a very fan favorite class. And it's, I mean, you're probably getting in the light here is like they've pulled a couple times first hook out of all these events we've gone to. That never happened when you were pulling. Like you're always the last guy to pull. And always, you know, always like, and you're the fan favorite. You could have sold 5 more times t-shirts if you got to pull earlier than midnight. Most pulls you went to.
Our kids made $4,000 that night.
Really?
Oh yeah, that was gone.
Wow. I didn't even sell the t-shirts, right? Damn it, that's crazy. Well, you did have the most iconic name for any truck on the planet. I mean, Mother Trucker was awesome,
baby.
You guys got time for a quick story on how that name came?
No, dude, that's what we're about.
Boy,
you just tell her up, dude.
So when we decided we're going to build a semi, Beth had one thing she requested, and that was the color of the truck. And she's half colorblind, don't get me wrong. So she wanted a dark metallic green with ghost flames in the hood, black, that you could barely see. She had this set in stone. So my brother had this metallic green Chevy pickup. So I drove that down to Mankato. We're going to paint it in my buddy's garage. We go driving in there, and of course I'm early, and there's some crabby guy behind the counter. He said, go back outside and wait in your truck. And So I said, oh, I want this, like the Chevy pickup out there. That's the color I want. So he says, well, you got to open up your glove box and there's paint coat in there. So I do that, and I know nothing about this stuff, but my buddy could paint his hobby. So I go in, give him these numbers, and he mixes it up. It's a Sunday, and she's at church, and we're going to paint this. And we open it up, and it's blue, Chevy blue. It's like $700, and I felt like I blew a lot of money on that paint. So
hell yeah, dude.
So I looked at Donnie and I said, well, paint it. The can's open. And so I come home from church and she says, how's it look? And I said, it's beautiful. And she says, I want to go see it. And so we go to look at it, and the first thing she said was, mother effer. She says, you had one job to do. And that's how the name started.
I love it.
That's as real as it gets right there, folks.
Hey, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, Dean. There was a point in time where that Chevy pickup at one was like a teal, a blue, or a green, or like a blue. It's like it would change colors depending on whatever. And I think you just got bad luck right there, brother.
Yeah,
it was on the same spectrum.
I think it was destiny, because that story is very.
It was meant.
Yeah, that's legitimate how the name comes. She was spitting mad. It took a whole day for her to get over that.
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm just saying.
Well, you don't have to be a stranger. She can sit in there with you. I mean, come on in.
He said she doesn't want to do public appearance tonight.
Okay.
She can cuss on air. You already did once.
Yeah, it's all good. So I see like Chris Young comments and says the semi-class on the East Coast imploded because of cheating. Do you feel like the current rule structure prevents the issues you were talking about, or do you feel like there still needs to be some things remedied there to lock in what's going on? I had no idea that was even a rule, that the rear tire needed to be touching the ground. And I mean, understanding making that middle axle a fulcrum, you're just raising that hitch point up and just trying to hoist the front end into the air. I mean, the advantage that presents is just
but then you can
massive.
change the suspension so it looks like the front end's down, right? Like there's a lot of things that can be manipulated there. That's why I'm genuinely interested.
I'm not smart as any of y'all on a lot of things, especially this. This sounds like a complete disaster to even try to enforce. Who could enforce this? We can talk about all these rules, but explain to me who the hell's going to be able to say that's cheating and that's not cheating.
Yeah, Marvin will get it locked down. Dean, do you have any suggestions, if you were Mr. Epperson, on how to resolve this little issue?
I think they got a handle on it, and we'll just let them announce that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will it improve the numbers? Will it improve the numbers?
There was some gossip that it's going to be, a little different for next year. Not changing of the chassis, just the height of the hitch is the height of the hitch.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
Just leave it at
like
that.
real cool.
I don't know if that's factual, and I don't.
Hey, you know what's really funny? If you measured it at the end of the track like it was running, then you might get an answer too. That's another side of it.
Yeah, either that or I could see.
You heard it there, fans. Insider tips from Dean Holiki. Stay tuned to your press releases on this future role.
I could see having to measure the hitch with the suspension all the way, aired up. That way it is what it is at that point. You can't go any higher than that. I mean, that seems like that would be a pretty straight shooter way to do it. Can you imagine the equivalent of this, Adam? Like if we hitched our tractors at 13 inches and then from the cab of my tractor, I could just hit a button and my hitch is at 15 inches.
Yeah, it'd be pretty sweet.
If I just had like air ride on my phone and I just dropped the air out and brought my hitch up after I went over the hitch pad.
Yeah, that's always a big thing. Like I'll say on like my tractors that have air ride, they move a little bit, right? But that was a big thing when the super stock stuff came out. I think was the suspension and all that stuff. Like Dean, does your Limited Pro have airbags on it?
I don't. A lot of them have front airbags, but mine's still a solid front end.
You know what's really funny about that you say that? The chassis, I have 3 chassis, 2 with air ride and 1 without. The one the points this year did not have air ride on it.
You know?
Right.
So do you
Go ahead.
do you think people are being sneaky rascals with their air ride and letting air out after hitching and gaining a little hitch height in that manner?
Welcome to the podcast.
You know, I got some good advice a long time ago from Brett Berg, and he told me not to worry about what other competitors are doing in one vehicle. And I
That's a
stand
good
true to
point,
that.
dude.
That's
That's
such
a
a
hell
good
of a
answer,
point.
Dean.
That's Hall of Fame advice for coming from a
Hey,
future Hall of Famer.
So there's been some very famous pullers from Minnesota. What is the best advice Esden Lane has ever given you?
Boy, oh boy, he's a very good friend, and you know, I think he gives me more of a hard time because we've had good success. We haven't talked too much about advice, but he's the first ones to come talk to me.
Yeah, dude, he's the guy's been pulling a long time. It seems like you've been pulling a long time. Brett's been pulling a long time. Doc Christensen's been, Ricky Rose has been like. It seems like that Minnesota bunch of dudes is a bunch of really smart pullers up there.
Yeah, Jack Kilmeyer, you know, he built
Jack, you gotta love Jack. Yep.
Yeah, Jack Kilmeyer, Masuki's. There's a whole group.
Yeah.
A lot of good state pullers too. UPM is quite successful.
Yep. Yep.
So we
Dean,
see
I want to going back to the 4-1. You know, the 4-1 class being Grand National, and some of the chatter that came about. You know, there were some rumors that the Super Farm class was not going to be Grand National. I don't think that's happened, or if it has happened, they haven't announced. I don't know. It's still Grand National as far as I've heard. But is it one thing that I did not realize? The tractors are exactly the same, minus, you know, the 4-1 chart. You can take a 4-1 Charger, put a Super Farm, and it's a 4-1 vehicle. Is that totally accurate?
Pretty close. You know, you got a 3x3 turbo and a Super Farm. I don't think they can run a billet head. We can. I think they can run recast, but don't quote me on that.
we will.
They're 9,300 pounds, and then I'm pretty sure our camshafts are a little bit different. Otherwise, they're getting pretty close.
Like if a guy wanted to make that move, is I don't know, maybe there is someone that's recently done that, that's had success. Like, is there programs in terms of chassis and what they're running? Could they, if someone was really a top running Super Farm was serious, I guess if anybody's serious, they can do anything. But would it be a shocker to see a top running Super Farm guy convert to and jump out in front of in the 4-1 class, or do you think it's going to be a little more than that? If someone did do it, hypothetically,
I don't think it'd be that big of a deal if they're not afraid to do some dynoing and, you know, get themselves with one of the good fuel pump turbo suppliers. It's all right there, and the head guy, and, you know, it's not that, it wouldn't be that bad. There's definitely, you know, it depends if they got a billet crank, if they're gonna, you probably gotta have a billet crank in our class and all that stuff.
that was my last question on these two, because I wanted to spend time just talking, because I was fascinated that they could closely be the same. Which one is more expensive, or which one costs more to run, a 4-1 or a Super Farm, if you want to be the best of the best from what you know about it?
They're both expensive nowadays. I mean, I suppose Super Farm or Limited Pro might have a little advantage with the, you know, I bought my motor complete, but I think a billet head is close to 20,000. Boy, otherwise, you know, you could argue the fact you might tear up a little more in the Limited Pro class, but prior to me, I had 100 runs on this motor 3 years ago. We had just over 100 runs before we tore it apart. And honestly,
Get the hell out of here.
No, it didn't. And before we took it apart just cause.
What?
It would have kept.
Jesus, that's unbelievable. So
Tyler, the guy we had on here from Michigan a few shows ago, how many? He said he had
A bunch.
right?
A lot.
Yeah.
Extremely a large amount.
I believe it was just referred to as a gaggle of passes numerically.
Yeah, he did. It was a bunch.
This is a Lemke motor, and then Carlton Cope does the work on it. And honestly, you know, Carlton said he said, was it breathing? And I said, no. And is the filter clean? And no. And then finally we decided to put new parts in it. Really, it's just because we had over 100 runs on it.
That's pretty awesome.
What is the weak link in a 4-1 motor? You know, if something is going to break, what is the most common thing that guys are seeing as far as parts failure?
You know, I broke a cam off this winter. It's just because we got to the horsepower spot where like the pro stock said we didn't have a front cam supporting my motor where all the pro stocks did it, the horsepower, when they started putting them in. Nowadays, probably our biggest thing is the tire game. That's
I was going to ask you about that. You know, the
tires.
Seeing you got a set of tires for sale. If you want to run an ad real quick about those tires that you won $50,000 with, you could sell them on this podcast, I hope. But like, tell us about them tires.
Well, you know, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I took them off because I was sucking. And, I borrowed a set of tires from Simons and went back. Didn't touch the tractor and went back up to the front.
Okay. Well, that's not going to be good for
right?
selling. That's not going to be good for selling those tires there, Dean. You should have.
Come on, I'm trying to sell some tires.
You should have
here, bro.
painted that scene a little bit different. You're not a salesman by day, there, are you?
No,
Dean?
he's a good, honest. If you're going to do business with Dean, he's not going to jerk your leg. He's a most straight up dude you ever done business with in your life.
Well,
and I mean, maybe it's in my mind. I just had to try. So leave it at that.
So what's the deal with the tires, dude? You're coming from a class like either you have old ones or the new ones. I mean, yeah, there's some bad sets here and there, but you guys have different manufacturers. You got all kinds of different choices now. You know, you got Mita. You got all these different choices. You know, like what do you think about that?
They're all good. They're all good. You know, we've had a lot of success with the parks. I got a set of Simons Mitas on right now. I think there's some learning to do there with them. Would I put another set of parks on? Absolutely. I feel like Chad's got some tires coming out, so probably gonna see.
Yeah, that's pretty new. I guess Tyler, you didn't break that news. Like we maybe should have Chad on here soon to talk about that. Him and Hawthorne's kind of went into business together.
We should.
And they're producing. Was that the Pro Polar tire that they purchased?
Correct. Yeah, they did. They Aaron Doctor sold to him and Mark Hawthorne.
Yeah, I heard that. So
that's quite the acquisition, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you're talking about three guys in the class. We really don't have choices. I mean, I know that they've tried to make a Nichols tire that's still in development, Tyler, and then have run it, but we've basically run the same tire forever. Like, we have one choice.
Well, no, right? Not necessarily. You boys are always bolting on those Pioneers and the D-Packs from 20 effing years ago. Dean, do you guys have that mess going on in your class where guys are dusting off tires out of the old woodshed that are 20-some years old and bolting them on and kicking everybody's asses, and people are paying more for old tires than what they are brand new ones?
A couple of years ago, they did. You know, that there was some of the tires from over. I think they were India tires or something like that. A couple of years ago, they were dragging them out and doing damn good. I mean, they're getting up to $20,000 for old tires.
Unreal.
Now it's just like who buys the newest tire.
And I'll tell you a little bit. I couldn't get my hands on one of them, and I was protesting spending that much money. And I bought a set of Brandon's whole shot tires, $10,000, and them did damn good. Won some big events with them tires.
Yeah, I'm pretty hardcore running just the newest, latest tires, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe that old shit I'd be better with it, but I'm gonna have to figure these out eventually, and I'd like to think we're getting them figured out, you know. So that's
no, I agree, Tyler, man. I think that tire there for a couple of years, it's as good as the old tire, if not better. I mean, he's done a really good job working on that thing to make it better.
Don't say that. Jeff Hurt's got a shelf of 20 old sets of tires. You're going to hurt us.
My bad, brother. My bad. Sorry, Kevin.
Well, Dean, I see you've got that motor hanging from the hoist. You know, you spoke about who did your engine work, but I'm assuming you obviously still do quite a bit of wrenching on these things yourself, you know, even if you're pulling the motor yourself. How did Dean himself how did Dean himself as an individual get started in turning wrenches, whether it was building a go-kart at age 6 with a lawnmower? Give us the backstory.
Uncle Bob used to buy Maytag gas engines and single, like, horse and a half McCormick Deeres and John Deeres, and give you a pan of kerosene and tell them to take them apart, wash them up, and put them back together. The rings would be stuck, and then we go to thrashing shows. That's my brother. He's got quite a big collection of antiques, but we'd go to thrashing shows and display them. So that always, I was just a little kid working on gas engines and making them run and tractors. And then my dad, he wouldn't be afraid to overhaul a motor in our shop or lay it on some like massive 444 tractors. He'd lay it on a sawhorse and take them apart. So, I was around mechanics my whole life. And then when I first started trucking, we couldn't afford a lot. So we did all the work, first outside, and then me and my dad built a shed. So I always been mechanically inclined, and I can weed my way through my motor pretty good, really. I mean,
Very, very cool for sure. So you talked about the trucking business. Tell us what you do for a living in your day-to-day life and how you got there.
So we started out, brother, a couple end dumps, my dad, and then Dad told us he didn't want to be part of it and we could do whatever, and so we could grow it, and he wanted to stay farming. But we haul sand, gravel, steel, coal, rubber. We do a lot of brokering right now, and leave it up to him. But we do a lot of brokering work. We run about 150 end dumps all over the country, about 60, 70 local cement plants, asphalt, and then we haul like pathway mixes for golf courses. I mean, we're hauling down to Bluffton, South Carolina right now, and then we haul a lot of product out of North Carolina and Georgia back up into Wisconsin where they recrush it. And then we run a big group of guys hauling them pre-stress walls, building concrete buildings. So we just go ahead.
Can you tell me how you met my dad through the trucking industry?
We started hauling aluminum or steel. I think it was aluminum down to Audubon, Kentucky. I think it is.
What are they, extrusions or something?
Yeah.
Roundup metal to one of the plants, and then I happened to see somewhere that he was advertising some loads, and we'd load down there in that area and go to the St. Louis area, and then from St. Louis we'd go over to Fulton, Missouri, and we'll play and come back up to Mason City, Iowa. So I got to know your dad
right.
before I even almost knew who he was as a puller. Just, hey, I need to get a load from you. And then all of a sudden we started talking. We were both in the tractor pull, and I didn't know, I didn't know all the Grand National and the big stuff because we were just pulled around Minnesota at first.
And Adam, we said this earlier in the show that generally pulling gets associated with farming. But I would say the second biggest industry in the sport is trucking in some regards. Like there's a lot of people that's made a good living trucking they're tractor pullers. Why not being farmers? There's a lot out there.
Chase, why do you think I always ask everybody about their travel stories? Because as a truck driver or come from a trucking family or whatever, like, you're on the road. That's what you do. I mean, you could rebuild or manipulate anything you can to get from here to here. And just the guys from Minnesota's down in Tennessee, wherever, Missouri, like, you're jumping around, like, you get out there, you learn people, or you get to know people, or it's a pretty small world when you run into people at certain places at certain times at night, like that's what trucking does.
We know that, but fans probably don't know that. It was the point I was trying to make. We probably don't give enough spotlight on this show that the trucking and the infrastructure, there's a lot of ties to pulling in that circle, as you all just.
What's the most odd load that you had to haul from place to place that you didn't expect to put in that trailer?
We've hauled about anything, turkey shit. It don't matter. It's been a
baseball dirt.
What's the craziest shit you've ever hauled?
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy
Hey,
shit.
folks, we just hauled some baseball dirt in here. We had a turkey shitload in there. I don't know if it all got out of there before we got here.
Better,
Sorry.
yeah.
Somebody might have told them about this.
Yeah, we did. We had a guy haul a little shit to a concrete plant once. He had to bring it home with him. But we got a really awesome group of employees, and between our office and drivers, we got our guys in 6 days a week right now, and they're doing good, so they're tolerating it.
How many people do you got there, Dean?
In our office, we run about 10 in our office, and then we got another sub office that runs with two people, and then we run about, like I say, 150. We broker work for about 150 guys full time.
That's awesome. All in dumps?
All end dumps, and then we do haul prefab walls. There's another 20 to 30 guys that work. It's part time, but every other day. We're doing a big
but still, it's pretty awesome. I mean, you look at every road, really every trailer on the road that people mostly see is a van trailer, a tanker, or a flatbed, or whatever. You're hauling in dumps, and there's a lot of things that only go by in dumps.
The one thing we can all relate is probably 85% of our Macs.
Yeah.
They're good trailer.
Yep. Hey, look right here. I see yours in the back there. I got my old Mac trailer hat on. I won the points this year. I got a hat for Mac trailer. It was the nicest thing in that basket.
I got mine probably on display here too.
Going out to Carlton's, we got to know that group pretty good, and what a stand-up group of people, and their trailers work good.
Yeah.
What does Dean's hiring process look like when you're looking to hire a new person there at the business? Like, I'm always interested to know this. My question I like to ask people, if somebody's applying for like a hands-on job, I like to ask them, do you own your own cordless drill? And they're always caught off by that, and they're like, well, what, you guys aren't going to buy me a drill? I need to bring in a drill. And I'm like, no, I'd like to think that you split the group of people right down the center. Roughly half of America probably owns their own cordless drill, and the other half doesn't. And if you're in that half, you're kind of all right, okay, you own your own cordless drill.
Already self-eliminating.
That's one of my first questions there. What does Dean's hiring process look like when he's looking to hire somebody else onto the crew?
First off, I quit that because I'm too rough around the edges. I got a very older group of guys I dispatch that are been with me forever, and I'm too rough around the edges for all the new needs that got to go on in the world with different things. So a guy by the name of Ryan does most of the hiring, but I'll give you an example, and I'll say this because I'm a big guy. One day I had a guy come that's bigger than me, but big guy, and we got a little man door in the front of the trailer that you got to crawl through, and I walked out there with a ladder, and I said, well, crawl up the ladder and see if you can fit through the door. And he did, so I says, well, you're hired. Ryan was doing that. And I'm like, well, it's part of the job.
Hey, you got to do something, brother.
I don't do a lot of hiring anymore.
Hey, see, the biggest thing my dad struggled with hiring was, for one, the first question he probably needed to ask, did you drive your own vehicle here? And if there was probably a 50-50 chance of that being a yes or a no, because half of the people didn't have a car to drive. They had somebody bringing them to work to drive. The second question would be, do you have your own CB? Because at that point in time, it was kind of like your toolbox, right? Like if you were going to drive a truck, you got your own fucking CB, right? So like those are two self-eliminators right there. And then you still stick somebody in the seat of a truck that's, I don't know, $500,000, $400,000, $300,000, put the dollar you want on it, and you're trusting it, and they don't even have a car that they own.
Yeah, that's a little questionable.
And, I quit hiring when you get the person that comes in the job and he takes a phone call during the interview. That's a classic one for me. I'm like, really? Hey, hold on, I got to take this call.
We've had a lot of successful businessmen and entrepreneurs on this show, like Dean. One of my
Swift's calling, JB Hunt's calling. I got to answer.
Since we're on this topic, I like to share this story. A mentor of mine from my coaching days, he used to he'd always tell a story, and I actually saw it in action one time. Whenever he would, this goes for any industry. Whenever he was considering hiring someone, he would bring them in, talk through a few things, and while they're at his desk, he'd say, "Hey, go in that room over there and give me the stapler off whatever the descriptive desk is." If they come back and say that the stapler's not there because there's not a stapler wherever he told them to send it, they're not the person. But if they come back with a stapler, even though it wasn't on that table, that's the guy I want to hire. So
that's pretty good. That's a pretty good one, actually. I have to remember that.
Not bad.
I've always thought about that. When we're on this topic, I'm like, that's a great hiring one-on-one story. I think anyone could probably apply to something they're doing. So
that's called a guy that doesn't know what they're going to do, and then you give them something to do, and then they stay busy. But when they're done with that, they don't know what to do next. Like, figure it out.
Yeah, that'll happen for sure. For sure. Well, Dean, we've got a video that we've got prepared backstage of you carrying something down a crowded street, and I feel like we need a bit of an explanation here for it. And so if,
there was eye roll in there.
Backstage,
it might be past my bedtime.
Yeah, Dean, what's going on in this video here? Can you break it down for us? You appear to have a rather chesty mannequin, if you will, in a hat there that you're walking down the street. You've got something in a brown bag in your left hand, a hatted up mannequin with the hoots out in the right. Tell us what's going on there.
Well, that's Key West for you when you're with, the wrong crowd. We'll just say that. Look what they make you do.
Did you get that from the naked bar?
No, we were walking around, and I always like to play a little prank or have a little fun when you need to liven it up a little. And there was a group of them that had a house rented, and I said, let's go buy them a little house gift. And God, that damn thing has made it all the way back to every tractor pull this year.
Yeah, and would you like to give us the name of that beloved creature there in your arm?
Well, I guess her name is Debbie. And the best part is I think I carried her 2 miles. You should have seen the people looking at me. I had a bag of condoms and a doll in my hand.
Oh, wow. You'd hate to make a half Dean, half mannequin, so it's good that you were at least thinking of protection, Dean. So,
yeah, for a while.
Anyway, there's a beautiful shot there.
That's the NTPA board member there to your left.
Then when the people started wondering what's wrong with me, I started wearing a hat.
Yeah. Well, you hate to let the mannequin, have a nicer hat than you, for sure.
I sent a picture earlier. What was? Do you have the picture I sent earlier? There backstage.
Oh yeah, of a T-shirt, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was a T-shirt. What's this?
Yeah. Dean, what does that shirt say?
God Almighty, you gotta love my friends, huh? Hey, you know what? I think next week Larry Peterson should be on here and Lisa.
We're trying. As of we go right now, we've tried to have a 4-wheel drive puller on, and I think he is the only guy who ever shut us down.
Poor Dean. Dean gets on here all professional. He's got the collared button up long sleeve, pulling setup in the background.
I think it's his undershirt.
Dean, we're like, Dean, tell us about this shirt that says "I have pubic lice." Break it down for us, if you will.
Well, they must think that, I guess. But Lisa Peterson and Allison, I think, come up with these crazy ideas. There must have been 15 of these shirts, and I mean, honestly, they just make no sense.
Was that one your favorite, Dean?
Oh yeah, I wore it proudly for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, there's Grace with your look. Tyler Slaw was.
Is that the same Debbie?
Yeah,
that is the same Deborah there, held by Adam's girlfriend Grace, and I believe my face is even taped to it.
Oh, you weren't there yet, brother.
With a Chase Sucks shirt on it, of course. So Deborah making the rounds, many podcast appearances for sure. So Dean, thank you for carrying Deborah 2 miles.
Even stay with you for the holidays, Dean?
What's that?
Is she gonna stay with you all through the holidays?
I think she's in Iowa. She's been here once this summer. We got her at Farley. They broke into the toter home and gave it to us as a gift. And And so she was with us for a little while, and then I think she went to Benedict's, and then I know she's been at Peyton, Iowa.
She's a plus.
Debbie's gotten around, I'll tell you that. She's gotten a lot of ass.
Yeah, well, that's understandable.
You're
but
always the one that took her ferry, though, in Key West.
That's right.
Dude, I've been to Key West during that. What is the Fantasy Fest? Holy shit, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Key West was
Mr.
interesting.
Adam Bauer.
Yeah.
Adam Bauer sees something with a setup like that up top. You know he's got to take that back home to Peyton, no question. So, anyway, Dean, moving on to a more mature portion of our show here known as the rapid fire. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but we roll through about 10, 12 questions and just quick responses. No need for an explanation. Really nothing to it. I think you're going to do fine. Starting out, would you rather poop in the woods for a year or sleep in a tent for a year?
I'll poop in the woods.
Do you think fish ever get thirsty?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't either. Do you think Jeff Hurt will ever wrap the hood again on his Elky Super?
Will he ever do what?
Wrap the hood.
Wrap the
Wrap
hood?
the hood so it's not just primer gray.
No, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, I would agree. At this point, it's kind of trademark. What is the worst you've ever made?
Oh, God. I don't know. I bought some screwed up shit over, but again, it's been a lot. I can't think of all of it.
Okay.
Let me think.
Okay.
Come back to that one.
All right, we'll come back to that at the end. What is the dumbest way that you've ever injured yourself?
This goddamn crane hoist here, right here. I thought I was going to move it to my garage, and I got this in my wife's garage.
No explanations.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Anyway,
Just hoist.
the hoist. It hit me in the head,
hoist.
knocked
All
me
right.
out.
We might touch on that
shit.
later, but knocked you out. That sounds pretty intense. How many times have you been thrown out of a bar? Once? That's not too bad. What is the best, most successful pickup line you've ever used?
Debbie.
What's that?
Full belly and not so.
Full belly and an empty nutsack.
No? Solid pickup line. What is one thing you've never admitted to your parents?
How we wrecked our three-wheeler when we were kids.
There you go.
I'd have to touch on that too. Who do you think is a better over-the-road truck driver, Brandon or RJ Simon?
Oh, fuck. Right, we'll just go. RJ's a lot more professional.
Okay, with the professionalism as the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
All right. Would you rather pursue a points championship or pull for $50,000 again?
I'm all about money.
Okay. It's all about the 50 grand for Mr. Dean Holiki. All right, Dean, coming back to the other one. What is the worst purchase you've ever made?
No, I got sidetracked. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Nothing comes to mind?
2 wedding rings from my wife. She lost both of them. Could've just
Oh,
went
really?
Yeah,
That's a pretty good answer.
She lost one in a garbage. I crawled my way through a dumpster and never did find that thing. Might have sold the second one.
Yeah, you got to go to a pawn shop, Dean, see if you can find it.
Yeah, I had a great
20 years is earned, not given, right, Dean?
waste management dumpster, one of them big ones, tipped over, picking through that. That was a proud moment. Never did find that thing.
That's good.
Wow.
Oh man,
That wasn't her fault though.
It was the kids.
The kids.
no, you'd never. Dean, tell us about getting knocked out by an engine hoist.
I was gonna move this one day, and for some dumb reason, the one pin was completely free to lower it. I mean, it was literally free. So that would be cool. I was gonna pull that pin out, crawl up the other side of the ladder, and put my shoulder underneath it. For some reason, I thought I could do all this, and as soon as I took one step down, that engine hoist tipped over and hit me on the side of the head right here.
Oh,
And,
shit.
I had to go to the hospital over that one.
All right, dude.
I've
Little
had two
concussion?
injuries. Yeah, so that one hurt.
Yikes. What about wrecking a three-wheeler? Break that one down for us.
Brother spraying the water hose, me going real fast across the yard and running into the light pole. And Dad, we parked it on the side of the house, and then Dad goes to check cows with it, and the wheel goes. Not one of us.
That was not our fault.
Yeah. That was not our fault. Dean, how many concussions do you think you've got in your life?
Oh, shit.
I've had a couple. And did Rich do that, by the way, too? That was my
Yes,
daughter.
she did.
I've had a couple of them. I fell out hayloft when I was a real kid, young kid. Dad found me and with the cows there laying on the ground, and then that chain ice.
Yeah.
Dean, well done on the rapid fire segment. I don't know if that's our 50th, but I think they get better each show because there was a few shows we didn't have rapid fire, but well played on that. We're going to go back. I want to go back to the 4-1 class. You said there's 15 competitors planning on running Grand National. Is that verified?
15 people on the preliminary list, and then that said they would do it. That was sent to me, and then it looked like there was another 10 that wanted to see what the schedule looked like. I know it's made a lot of talk.
Can you reveal those 15?
I know Bill Feigenbaum had a couple. There was Brian Deck, Jacob Ohl. There was some guys from Wisconsin.
Was it pretty well rounded geographically? Like it was.
Yeah. I was really surprised that, and there was some guys from other organizations that are bigger names.
Interesting. And then, have you heard on events what events might be interested in having you? Obviously, Thomas had 4-1s from a regional standpoint. I think Fort Recovery's had them. I don't know off the top of my head another Grand National. Has there been any feedback on some events that might want 4-1s, or is that to be determined from what you've heard?
I was told at the end of the league it was through, and then a little bit with my friendship circle, and then obviously the public announcement. So I've had quite a few people ask, and I just said we should know by the banquet time.
Cool.
And I'd be surprised if Tom will, but I don't want to speak for him if we're not. But.
Yeah, Rockwell's the other one 4-1s have been running at. I knew there was another event. Yeah, because it's interesting. The farm machinery show is obviously a huge stage. You won the farm show last year, right, Dean?
I got second both.
Second both days.
And finals, yeah.
But that's one of the. What do they have? 8 classes on Saturday night, and that's one of them where it's multiple sessions. And for it to be recognized as like a national class now, I think that's probably a bit overdue. And I'm sure there's a ton of people like yourself that's excited about it. Me personally, I've never even really paid attention in class until there's 50,000 on the line. And I'm like, shit, this ain't too bad to watch. And obviously it's super competitive too. Which anytime you got competitive anything, I think it's interesting from my standpoint to keep up with. So pretty exciting.
Pro Polling League's got them in the Champions Tour. Badger State's got a heck of them, group of them. All of us got them. One thing about the 4-1s is sometimes there's not a lot of numbers at every single poll, but they are booked from Missouri to Iowa to Nebraska to Wisconsin any given Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. And that one year, we went polling 25 times roughly, different weekends, and we hooked with 3 organizations, PPL, all on NTPA, and we went to 25 weekend events. Wow. So you can literally look at the schedule and go anytime. That's why I hope the rules stay similar, and we don't get this organization with that and that organization with that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Uniform right now. Is 4-1 pretty standard across the organizations, generally speaking?
Right now they are. There's some gossip about box turbos, but it'll just divide the classes if that's the case. Not with NTPA.
I would agree. Having that uniform support of a constant rule set across all organizations just helps for cross promotion of the class for sure.
I
Dean,
don't want to talk about that all night, but we went through a major turbo change last year to get a systematic slug or turbo rule. I don't know if we need to redo it right away again this year.
Yeah,
It's a lock them in.
I wish when they would make changes, they would lock rules in for 5 years. And I feel like we saw them do that. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but when they made a change to the light unlimited or the light mod class, I feel like they finally made a decision that they were going to put it to 2 engines. And I believe they locked it in for a predetermined amount of years. And I feel like people came to the class once they did that. The people flooded in. Am I right in that, Adam, that took place, or am I just imagining that?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I mean, I think, I don't know, these rules, man, it's just kind of whatever. Just like you said, every organization should have the same rules. So whatever works best for your schedule, whether you have these days off or these days off, or you can go to these events logistically or these events logistically, you should have that opportunity to not have to worry about changing a whole bunch of stuff, do whatever, because we all want to support NTPA. We all want to support PPL. We all want to support any of our state organizations and stuff. As long as they all play in the same house, you're going to see all those pullers maneuver to all those different places. If that's what you do.
I think we talked about this a lot, or maybe not as often as I think, but if all the lead organizations could get in a room and just say these are the rules, like a lot of other motorsports do, where these are the rules to compete in, I think it would only help everyone across the board from a liability insurance standpoint to a, just keeping it simple for all people involved. And I don't know what it would take to do that, but that just seems like that's far overdue if there's a way to do it, because pulling, there's nothing good out of division in any.
Is there any differences between a PPL and a NTPA semi? I know the super farm's different because you can have intercoolers and you can't have intercoolers.
Dean, what's the difference?
Not anymore. There's not. There used to be you couldn't have a tube chassis or something like that. You had to have a stock frame, but that rule has been gone. So you can hook both organizations.
Mm-hmm.
That's good for sure.
And it's not.
Do you agree with the idea that there's a way they could all get in one room and make the rules for a yearly basis and just honor them? That's a positive for everyone. What's your thoughts on something like that in terms of rules?
It'd be good to do that. Is
easier said than done.
Yeah. I mean,
well,
it'd be cool.
We do say stuff in this podcast that sometimes work out. Not saying it's because of us, but maybe we can talk.
Okay, if we're talking about that, Chase, Dean, do you believe that if you're going to go to a pull and pull on a weekend, it should be a 2-day pull?
When I got into the Grand National semi polling and then you went region polling, for me, I did miss the 2-day events personally.
Right.
I mean, that's the one big difference between region polling versus Grand National polling is you can kind of go to the poll early and you have your fun the night before, and then you get pretty serious for a day or two, go home. Versus when you're region polling, when you're 1-day polling,
Does that determine what events you go to based on if it's a 1 to 2-day hook, or is that just
if you're not
look to run a circuit?
If you're not running for points,
right.
You call it get used for a day or two. We normally party a day or two. We're someplace that many days.
Okay, well that brings up a good point though. I think that we've never talked about is like if you're running for points or if you're not running for points, what does it mean if you've done both? To chase the circuit to win a championship, obviously it's a huge honor and all that stuff, against getting to do what maybe might be overbearing at times with that circuit to be able to go the places you want to go. Or like you said, region pull and do that. I mean, what you've done both, weigh the pros and cons on that.
Well, the not running for points is more fun because you got friends in all different organizations and you kind of go see them. we did that the first couple of years with the limited bro.
Not stressed out.
You're not super stressed out about checking you do check every detail, but you know what I'm saying? You got a little freedom. Sometimes you look at hey, let's drive here. Or, hey, the lake's nice this weekend. Let's stay home. Running for points to get into Louisville has been our last couple of year concern because I'd never pulled in Louisville with my own vehicle. So that's what chasing the region points. And it's just a commitment. So, for me, not running points, obviously with the Grand National coming up, we're probably going to do that. But not having to run points is more relaxing.
So being from that point, running the regional circuit at the point in time that you did, you really chase and do what you did was to get into the farm show. Like if you run Grand National, obviously you're running the top of the food chain there. Your chances of getting back in there, there are perks of running, I guess, in your idea, more 2-day hooks, less of a schedule. It's a benefit for you, the class you're coming from, to go from single-day hooks to more 2-day hooks. The schedule is what it is. The people. There's a bigger championship, obviously, up for grabs and stuff there. I was just trying to weigh that between maybe a guy that's ran Grand National, a hard circuit, I don't know. It's different now. The class is if you look at your class and you guys pop up 40 tractors in that class that are going to run, I mean, how fun's it going to be? You know what I mean? Obviously is what I'm trying to get at. We're kind of going the other. You guys are on the probably should have been a Grand National class before now, and we're used to be a smaller Grand National class that's huge now. Obviously, you're going to a better situation for your class. Do you feel?
Yeah, I do, and I recommend it for anybody that's not afraid to travel. It's fun to get out there and to see some different country and challenge yourself in some different tracks and take in the 2-3 day experience, however long you want to make of it. And one thing about a little bigger schedule is if you decide that's what you're going to do, you can look at your work schedule and you can plan for this many weekends off and make it a little more of a family event. That's what we did with the semi, is you could go, The region deal, it seems like you just spend a lot of, and I don't want to knock the region deal, but you spend just a lot of time, drive down, pull, drive home.
Yeah, the 2-day hooking thing. So if you were in charge of pulling, what's one thing you would change or do to improve the sport?
About the money. We don't get paid enough for what we put in. I know it's tough. I know it's tough on promoters to pay us more, but it's, man, oh man, I've wasted everything I got pulling. Not in a bad way. I'm just telling you, it's the reality. If you sit and say that you didn't, you're lying.
Yeah. So you're saying that 50,000 really helped out this year when you whacked that thing?
It helped me. I mean, yeah.
Some people are like, I already spent 70 to get here, so it's just helping out. I mean,
I kind of say it now, joking about it, but my generator took a shit. I got a brand new generator.
Right.
RJ met me about 15 miles from here on his way to Hutchinson, so that was roughly $12,000 for an owning generator. Then Chad called and said, your new tires are done, you ordered. So there went Dean, and then Beth says we're driving down. She said, oh, by the way, Carlton sent the dyno bill. So hell, we were 3,000 deep in the So the whole week, and all I could think about was, man, it's gonna suck on Monday asking my brother for distribution because we're partners. Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be brutal for a month. Yeah,
that Onan generator was the start. The tire is part of the gig.
Yeah.
What would young Dean think that started out with that 4-wheel drive truck that you had $20,000 in if you could tell him that someday he was going to win $50,000 tractor pulling?
It gives young people hope. I mean, young Dean would tell him, get out there and get chasing for that and try to earn it. And
yeah,
I'm all about, man, I want to see the sport succeed, and I love young pullers. And I feel we all need to do a good job at helping younger people get into the sport because that's how I got into it.
For sure.
Yeah.
What would young Dean think if present day Dean told him how much he'd spent in his life truck and tractor pulling?
Young Dean probably wouldn't talk about it to some new. I just tell him, let's get started.
This might be a bit controversial, but what would young Dean say if an organization put a poll on top of maybe their favorite poll that they go to, and there's points on the line for one and not on the other?
Now, Dean, this isn't you talking. This is young Dean. So you can offer whatever
Young
opinion
Dean,
you
young
want
Dean. We
without
need young
criticism.
Dean to talk to us.
I'd like to think young Dean was a little bit hotter on the tongue and not so quick to hold back his opinions.
Like, young Dean doesn't have to take his 4.1 limited pro to said pull in Mackville, Wisconsin.
You see how we've crafted this question, Dean? It's pretty tricky.
Young Dean used to make a lot of phone calls if we were booked on top of somewhere, and it was going to mess with my schedule until I won the battle. There was one time young Dean had a Wisconsin State hook over a Region 3 state hook, and I pointed out every reason why we're not going to book on top of each other till pretty soon we had 2 state pulls. So young Dean's not afraid to be feisty.
I hear you. Okay.
I love it.
Dean, but what?
Go ahead, Adam.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine.
If you had a follow-up, I was going to change the subject before we got young Dean in trouble.
Change the subject. We'll bring that up later, I guess.
All right, Dean, if it's Saturday night at Bowling Green, your last hook in the class. It's always sweet to win, but it's always a little bit sweeter when you get to take that win from a certain special someone. Who is that certain special someone for Dean Holiki?
Bowling semi, I never got to beat him except one time at a PPL event, but it would have been Chris Woods.
Okay.
Class act.
Good stuff.
I got close. I got close to him, really close to him, beating him, but he kicked my butt.
Yeah. Fair enough. Adam, what were you going to say?
Nothing. I was trying to get an answer, more of a feisty answer than that. Like, what would Dean have to say if, obviously you like Farley, you won $50,000 there, right? Thought it was a good event. I think you know those guys pretty well. And if you got scheduled a Grand National pull on that pull weekend, where are you going?
I'm going for the money.
Okay.
Well, that's
going
why
for the money.
That's why my last question in the rapid fire, Adam, was: would you rather pursue a points championship or pull for $50,000 in Iowa? And Dean said, "I'm going for the money." And he also kind of implied young Dean might call someone a bit of a mother trucker for trying to put someone in that scenario.
Okay, well, I may have to pee then. I just wanted to hear
you. Know what? I'm sorry. I'm greedy and I don't want to jinx myself, but if we got any kind of good odds, we might have a stab at her.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you got a pretty good stab at her, dude. Like, I look at the result sheets often. You don't mess up very often. You're always towards the front in whatever class you're in. So this dude's highly competitive, very, very successful man in pulling. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. Wherever you go, there's a chance you're going to win it.
Just don't get a meter out, Dean.
Hey.
Dean, we're
right over here, brother.
The 50th episode of the No Practice Podcast could be record timing. We're not trying to cut this short, but we do have to follow probably a certain time limit before we get to 3 hours. This is your opportunity. We've been asking you the questions. First, you can ask us any question if you want, and then secondly, the mic is yours to make sure you shout out and thank anyone that helps you make this go, and any special information we need to know from your best standpoint of why you love pulling and others that you want to make sure you get shout out on this podcast.
Yeah, first off, it's a good thing you pointed out the time thing, because I am worried about Larry Peterson's bedtime. He is old.
So that's why he won't come on here.
Yeah. He's got to go to work in the morning, he says.
Yeah, so it is getting to be time for him to go to bed. And, first off, I want to say for any young person getting into sport, go for it, because
it's one way to keep yourself occupied. It's better than drugs, and it's keeps you out of trouble, and it challenges yourself for personal goals. So any young person thinking about it, tractor pulling can humble you pretty damn hard, but if you work at it, you'll still win. And I need to thank my wife, my family, all the people at Holicky Brothers, all the people that helped me in the past, Carlton Cope, Lemke's, Weimers, Jim and Steve, and their stand-up people, Larry and Lisa Peterson, Rob Russell, Brett Berg, and Mike Connie, and the group, James Ray, Tate. I mean, it's open doors when we go out there. Chad Mayhill, I've had Parks tires on, Simons, CM Pulling tires, Brett's cut my tires. I'm really lucky, all the people that have helped me over the years.
A star-studded lineup for sure.
No kidding.
Yeah, what's up? What is showing me something? Just say what you...
Well, they asked why do you continue to pull?
We pull because of friends. Yeah, we pull because of friends. There, yeah.
It's all about the people.
It's all about the people. So.
Well said.
And to you guys, we watch your show quite a bit. It's always entertaining, and it's fun to see the eyes on the sport. And you guys are great people, and it's good to get to know you guys.
Well, likewise. It's we often get credit for this show, but we can't say it enough that it is not us three. It is people like yourself that give us your evening, come on here and show a bit of your character, because we all see the Dean underneath the helmet, but not too many people get to see the Dean that cuts loose and tells stories and learn about what you do for a living and how you got started in all this mess. So can't thank you enough for coming on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, before I forget, Simons, any of my fellow competitors too, we broke stuff, and it's amazing the people that help each other.
Well,
So,
absolutely,
thank you,
yeah.
guys.
No, that's really good. We just try to, maybe give you some questions you do or don't want to answer, but if we have you on it, it's for you to give your 2 cents on what you think you can make better, or just give the people that do listen your point of view on maybe the way you see things, how they do be fit. We don't always say the right shit. I mean, I think some people can always say, "Oh, you probably shouldn't have said that," but it's an opinion. Everybody's got one. I just really appreciate you coming on here, and I know you put your heart and soul into it, and I only know you because of sport and maybe a little bit of trucking on the back end, but I respect you highly. My dad did too. I know he did that. He always talked really good about you and how competitive, how good person you are. So I've always had much respect for you, man. Appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, and Chase, thanks, and Tyler. And
Well, cheers, gentlemen. 50. It's in the books for the man who won 50 grand.
Thanks, Dean.
Kyle Petty.
Good luck.
Cheers to all our fans. We love you all. Send messages to the text hotline. We'll be posting more about it. We might even have a voicemail segment coming, 270-601-0509. We'll be back in 2 weeks. I believe that will be November the 5th. So until then, cheers. Everybody have a happy Halloween, and see you next time. Thank you.
See you guys.
That's a wrap.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the No Practice Podcast.
Have a good one. Bye.
Stay tuned for the next episode, where we guarantee there still won't